The podcast on Haunted Hill will contain spoilers and swearing.
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
Please help us, Michael. Be one of us.
I didn't tell you my name.
Hang up.
I didn't tell them my name.
They're all a part of it. They're all parts of it.
Come. It is time to keep your appointment.
Hello and welcome to the podcast on Haunted Hill, episode 179. Boom! Mic drop. That's the end of the show because I got the number right. That's not the end of the show. It's the beginning. It's not the end. As Jim Morrison
It's just the
said.
beginning.
It's just the beginning. As I said, my name is Gav. I'm sitting.
My name is Dan. I'm talking over you.
I'm sitting remotely with Dan. Yeah. Just jump straight in there, eh?
I was excited.
Waiting for no man. Straight in there. Aren't you, Dan?
Well, that's kind of the theme of the episode, I
You
think.
just get straight in here. You dunk it right in. That's what you do.
So this might be a filthy episode. This might be a greasy episode.
Just turn you down a bit. You just went very loud.
Oh, I do apologise.
Yeah.
It's because I got excited. This is a patron pick. And our patron, Don Collier, is the king for the day, the king of the show for this episode.
King of the day.
King Don. King Don.
King Don.
Not Dong. Don.
Don, yes.
So let's get this crown out. Let's polish it up. And pop it on his virtual head for
It'd be
this
great
episode.
if someone's like, guys, do you reckon you could do all the sound effects for this feature film? Absolutely. Like Sony comes to us and like the new Spider-Man movie, it's me and you just...
You've got a budget of £20, whatever is lying around your house.
And off to Poundland with you guys. Off you go, get some stuff. Okay. That'd be
Love it.
alright. We could do alright.
We do all right.
But-
Foley.
But they want us to do it with our mouths, not actual stuff. Because I was going to
I'd
do the
love to
sound
do that.
effects like that. That would make us actually sound... We could do that legit. No, like walking up the steps.
When I was a kid, my friend had a top loader VHS
Oh, sweet.
that you could plug a microphone into. So we used to record things off the TV and then dub over them.
Shit.
And the one we did the best was, in our opinion, as 9-year-olds, was Knight Rider, the movie, the pilot. And we went to town talking over that. We talked over the whole movie.
You had commentary tracks on the VHS.
Well, it wasn't even commentary. It was just like, hey, have you seen my underwear? Yeah, it's over here.
See,
and
that's the
things
shit
like this.
you want to have when you're older.
And now we used to watch that every weekend. We used to be like, put our Knight Rider film on, and we'd watch it and just be cracking up at our Knight
It's
Rider
like
film.
you listening to your own podcast.
Yeah, but I was 9. Do you know what I mean?
Cracking up to yourself.
Yeah. But anyway,
I would
Don.
as well. Yes.
Don,
Thank you so
Don.
much, Don, for
you
your
greasy,
support.
naughty man.
And,
Yes, thank you for your support.
And this is what you get for your support. And everybody else who supports us, thank you very kindly. Very much. We appreciate every one of you.
As in the description thumbnail, you might need a bath after this episode because the two movies that Don has
It's going to
selected
get greasy.
are not going to make you feel good in some ways. They will make you laugh. One of them certainly will make you laugh. So he's selected Gaspar Noé's Climax.
Yeah.
Sorry. Climax from 2018. That was my climax noise. And
I saw your O face.
that was my vinegar face. And that is got a lot of writhing bodies in it, lots of LSD, dancing and constricting, and it's got all sorts going on in that. Also very violent. So that's already going to make you feel a little bit grubby. But he also made me watch for the first time ever the Greasy Strangler. from 2016. Now, I've been putting off watching this, so it's not one that I've really wanted to watch. Not because I'm squeamish, I just thought, I don't know if I'll enjoy it. I'll hold off on my thoughts until we get to our review later on in the show. But it's certainly an experience, and I'll hold off on my thoughts for now. But the Greasy Strangler from 2016 and Climax from 2018, Don has selected. He sent us an email, which I'll read out just at the end of the intro, so that we know why he selected those and what they mean to him.
We've also got a surprise, which me and Dan only surprised ourselves with this afternoon by spontaneously doing this. We have a guest speaker for the Greasy Strangler, because the person in mind loves the film, and I was just like, well, they should, because they're also a podcaster, and here we are, they're going to come on, and that is my lovely Sarah. She's going to come on and chat with us about the film, because she's a massive fan of it. Her ideal night is that, then The Fly.
Amazing.
She actually sat and ate popcorn while watched this with me, because we remotely did it together.
And then just throw the substance in at the end of that for a triple bill of oily, greasy, squelchy, slimy horror, and you're away, aren't you, really?
Pretty much. Yeah. Anyway, so we don't normally do that, but she's coming on to join us, chat about the Greasy Strangler, so hope that's okay, Don. You don't mind that. We're not hijacking it in any way. She will bring something to it rather than take away.
If anything, it makes Don's special episode even more special, because we don't often have guests
stuff
on.
Like
So.
we don't actually. Yeah. We did one. I did an interview once upon a time, very early on, but we kind of decided not to do interviews, because I've had people. I'd literally a couple of weeks ago, someone would say, "Oh, do you do interviews?" And I was like, "No."
We've had a few guests on over the years. We've had our friend Kate, and we've had a couple of our other friends, Andy and John, come on. But yeah, it's so difficult just to get ourselves organised, let alone a third or fourth person. It is very tricky. I'm happy to guest on other shows, which I've done quite a few times, but again, it's trying to get the schedules lined up with children and jobs and everything else. So.
Yeah, you and I have been doing this for so long, we're kind of like in tune that we know we need to podcast once a month, twice a month, whatever it is, or 3 times a month sometimes. We know we need to do that, so I think we both kind of, it's our lifestyle, it's a part of our lives. Do you know what I mean? So when you do a guest on someone else's, it's sometimes hard to arrange that, like you say.
Well, as I always say to you, Gav, and although you do all the technical behind-the-scenes bits for this show, I do a lot of the writing and research, so it's a collaborative effort. When I guest on somebody else's show and you feel the same...
you don't have to do anything.
I just sit back and talk shit, and it's brilliant, you know. Particularly, and I'll give a shout-out to Eternal Darkness of the Not So Spotless Mind. I've been on their show twice now. That's Kate and Matt. I'm hoping for a third invitation, I believe, at sometime in the future. I'll be coming back on that show again when I get on with those guys, because I know Kate especially, and me and Matt seem to just gel. Just put my feet up, just get a bit more sweary than I normally would. I don't know why, and I just sort of take the piss, I just have a great time, relax, don't have to worry about it, just freestyle it. I'm like a freestyle rapper in the booth,
freestyle podcaster.
Yeah, baby.
Girls.
Oh, he's bringing it up. So let's get this elephant in the room out of the way. Don, we're going to be talking about Will Smith now, I'm afraid. He's got a new song out. Any 50-year-old married man who should really be still apologising for his antics at the Oscars 3 years ago. Of course, what sort of song would they release?
Is that 3 years?
They'd release a song.
Wow.
They'd release a song they probably would have released and should have released when they were 16 in their band, DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. But instead, he's released it now, and it's a song that's called Girls, 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 I Like Pretty Girls. Ain't no girl ain't too pretty for me. And it's just terrible. And then he performed it. I say performed it. He half-heartedly rapped it in the middle of London.
Middle of London, loads of people around him just kind of standing there, and everyone just kind of looking, the odd head nodding. But for such a big crowd, that must have been quite embarrassing. He must have been like, just rap away, go. I'm just going to go with it,
You want him to do the classics. You don't want a new song.
I know it's weird, but it seemed like it was like, oh, please like me.
Yeah. So there we go. So, Gavin, my friend, I hope you're well. I know you are. You look well. And
Thank you.
let's talk about what we've been watching.
You also look
You've
well.
been watching... Oh, thanks, my friend. I've got a very shiny head because I shaved it today. Look at that.
I know. And it's that time of year, again, where we've not got much clothes on. I've got no top on.
I'm wearing a string vest and you've got nothing on. But that's just how we rock it, Don, for the Greasy Strangler.
He doesn't look like Rabsy Nesbitt. He actually looks more like a basketball player. It's more like a basketball vest. It's not a string vest.
Well, you know what I mean. But you've been watching some TV shows, you said. Anything you want to mention?
No, not really. I've just been watching stuff. No, I've been watching the normal, my go-tos. My go-tos is Sunny in Philadelphia. There's a new season of that coming out soon.
Yep.
But that's a go-to for me. At night times, that or Family Guy, been rocking that. I haven't really been watching. I did watch a few things with Sarah last time I was with her, but I don't know if it's it's been quite a while ago now. When did we last podcast? It feels like ages ago. It probably wasn't though.
No, not really.
I don't think I've seen Sarah then. So I've not got much to talk about. I've been following the P. Diddy trial every day of Law and Order or something. Not Law and Order, that's a program. Law and something on YouTube, a channel which follows it completely. And I've just been doing that really and being creative, writing music. And I pulled out the old pop album the other day that I started.
Oh, yeah.
Like 4 years ago. And a few tracks in there, pretty good. And I was like, I might just do a little bit of music. So I've been toying with music a little bit because we're slightly halted with Deadbolt Films at the moment, trying to make a feature film. Unless anyone out there wants to give us a few
£100,000?
Well, no, it's probably like 300 to 400,000.
That'd be great.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll take 100. We'll take 100 to start with.
Been working on the Tell-In, which is Ben's film, which is really fantastic. A little short film. We've got the other ones we could do. We're working out. One's going to be in Mexico, and one's set in Japan. So we're going to cheat that, obviously, because we can't afford to go there. We're going to cut some trailers up for those ones, and that's nearly finished. Been doing that, but been trying to get a 2.5 second shot of a chainsaw going through some guts. Last Monday, we set it up for ages, this whole body with all these... We even got sausage skin and packed it with Spam and stuff. And we did all this stuff and made all these effects, all this elaborate stuff. And I had to hold the body with a chainsaw next to me, go at 11 o'clock at night in the front garden. I was sure neighbours loved it. Smoke machine, everything. A massive light to be the moonlight. Chainsaw through and it all fucked up. It's like this... It's a 2.5 second shot. We've spent hours setting this up and it hasn't worked. Right, okay, let's try it again another day. Shit like that, and it's like, for fuck's sake. It's so hard to make films. It really is at times. It's so hard. There's so many things against you to make a film. Like,
if Jackie Chan can throw himself through a window 50 times to get one perfect 2 second shot, then you can do it. I believe in you.
Yeah, but get it. It's just an issue. Gone through numerous chainsaws that just kept breaking on us. Went and bought a brand new chainsaw, and the blade was too small. It doesn't match the shot before, which is a massive chainsaw blade, and then we tried to change the blades and it jammed, and I was like, this is not good. So yeah, I've just been doing that stuff.
When you buy a chainsaw, make sure you go in covered in blood and dirt, and
Well, we finished doing it, and because we had so much fake blood that Ben and I made, we made buckets of fake blood. It all went out onto the street, and this car came by, this Mini. It was quite late at night with these teenagers in it. And they're like, "What are you guys doing?" And we're like, "Well, we're making something for a TV show." Oh, can we watch? Can we come on? It's like, no, you can't carry on. But there's when just at that point, there's blood pouring down his drive, which is a downslope, goes into the road, and it kept making like a lake of blood at the end of his road. We're like, fucking hell, so we had to get the hose out at 1 o'clock in the morning, brushing it down with moonlight on it. So I'll send you some pictures. But we never got the fucking shot, the 2.5 second shot. So one shot we need and the film's finished, like the 20-minute film. So yeah, it's just bullshit. But anyway, I've been doing that stuff. I haven't had a chance to watch movies really. Have you watched stuff?
I've watched quite a few things I'll talk about. Before I do, quick update on the Shadow Man. Mr. Nobody, as my daughter calls him.
Oh yeah, I was about to say, what's that? Yeah, I
messaged Gav.
Mr. Nobody is a great name, isn't it? No, Nobody's that Bob Odenkirk movie, not Mr. Nobody. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I messaged Gav the other night because I went to bed about 11 p.m. I was the only one up. Went to the bathroom, came out of the bathroom to walk past the top of the stairs, across the landing, and who stood at the bottom of the stairs? There was about a 6-foot figure stood at the bottom of my stairs. Just, its head was back, so I know it was looking at me. And I just carried on going into my bedroom, shut the door.
Well, you didn't look down, but you could see in your peripheral.
I could,
like
as I walked
black...
past, as I moved my head, I could see it, and it wasn't a shadow because nothing down there makes a shadow like that.
Yeah,
it was just like I described in the last episode. It was just this like blacker than black shape.
Take it like if it had been me, I'd be like,
I'm
camera,
just going to bed.
Boom. No, just get the camera, come back round the corner, even just your phone. With a video, film it, just put it out there, then come back and look at your phone. That's what I'd do. That makes it super creepy.
Maybe next time. But that's the update on him. But what have I been watching? Well, I watched quite a good found footage movie that it's been on my list for a long time, and I finally got around to it. I'm sure you've seen it, The Cleansing Hour. Have you seen this? It's 2019. It's about an online exorcist. He's got a show called The Cleansing Hour where he exorcises different people. And obviously, for one of the episodes, there's a real demon, and they don't realise that. And they think that they're doing their usual thing. They've got this guy behind the scenes that does all the effects and everything. And they've got millions of subscribers. And then a real demon comes on. It's a bit like an early version of Late Night with the Devil.
I was just thinking that when you were saying it.
It was quite good. I quite enjoyed it for a found footage movie. It's not often, and I know Don, our Ing patron for the episode,
because he's got a show.
He has got a show. Yeah, he's got his own found footage podcast. So yeah, Don, I'd love to know what you think of The Cleansing Hour, and if anybody hasn't seen it, it's definitely worth checking out. It's not going to blow your doors off, but it certainly had some good stuff in it and some good effects, particularly towards the end. I was like, the budget is quite good in this.
Where's it?
Yeah, that was good.
Where's it streaming?
Prime.
Okay. Also, Don, have you checked out Amanda? Just out of wondering. Found footage film.
He has. He has checked it out.
Oh, good. Wicked.
I mentioned his thoughts on it, I think. I'm not sure if it was on the show, but I mentioned to you he was a fan of it.
Do apologise, Don. I forgot. My brain is terrible, as in memory-wise. I don't have a terrible brain, like it's evil or something.
Evil maniac.
The evil brain.
I also watched a film that Gav went to the cinema with his mum to watch a couple of years back. I finally got around to watching Elvis. I know it's not horror, but it was really good.
It's good, isn't it?
Didn't expect that. Me and Alice were well into it, considering it's almost 3 hours long.
When he comes out on stage, it's just it's like, oh man, it's so cool. They just made it really cool.
Makes you realise, because I'll be honest, I'm quite naive about Elvis. I didn't realise he was actually a proper artist as well. I thought he was just a bit of a get the cash kind of guy, you know.
Oh no, that was the Colonel. Yeah.
Oh God, Tom Hanks was brilliant in it.
That was who was making the money and doing that. He was just he wanted to just be an artist, but he wasn't allowed, was he? At times, like to go overseas.
Probably my favourite.
Never came to England or anything, you know.
Yeah, great. And we've been listening to Elvis now for the last couple of weeks in the house, so that's what that's done to us. So yeah, I just wanted to quickly mention that.
Yeah, it's good film.
And then the other night it was very, very hot.
Oh yeah, it's hot. It is a hot season.
Yeah, so I watched a movie that I'd never seen before, a Fulci movie, because sometimes you want a bit of Fulci when it's hot.
Yeah, you said that, didn't you, in your post? I like that.
Yeah. And I watched Manhattan Baby.
I love that you're Fulci when it's hot, like New York Ripper or... You know.
I know, well, but he does like films that are like, you know, just make you feel like the temperature's up.
Yeah.
But I watched Manhattan Baby for the first time. It's my first watch. So it's about a little girl who gets given, she's in Egypt with her family, and she's in
Egypt.
She's in Egypt, the country.
She didn't say she's in Egypt.
She's in Egypt.
And Egypt's an idiot. Just so you know.
She gets given a medallion, a magical medallion, that basically allows her and her brothers to teleport and open portals back into the desert whenever she wants. So they start.
Yay! Back to the desert. What's it? Nothing. Oh,
Well, they basically, like, if someone bullies them or people in their lives that they don't like, they just send them away to the desert to, like, fry. And it's pretty good, actually. But it's all based in New York, obviously, hence the title Manhattan Baby. It's very faulty. To be honest with you, doesn't really make any sense. And all the reviews I read of it afterwards were like, there isn't really, it doesn't really make much sense, but it just looks great. And it does. It looks great. It's 1982, Manhattan Baby.
yeah, okay.
And then, while we're on that subject, the following night, just so happened to be hot, but it also just so happened to be, and this is a point I wanted to bring up with you.
Hot and sexy.
The 50th anniversary to the day that Jules was released in the US. So I watched it that night.
Yeah, I watched it recently. You said that and I was like, oh shit, yeah, I should do, but I didn't.
But yeah, first of all, fuck me, that is still an absolutely perfect film in every way.
I know. It's a new documentary which I'm looking forward to. It'll come out on Disney. I don't know when a date is it's coming out. Maybe July, I'd have thought, possibly. Yeah, that looks quite good. Spielberg's in it, talking all about it and stuff.
Well, yeah, firstly, it's perfect. Secondly, my wife normally hates it when I quote films while I'm watching them, but she was laughing at me quoting along, particularly Tiger Shark. A what?
A what?
Some of the bits in it were, you know, it's brilliant.
Did you see the AI kid version I sent over on our Facebook page?
Yeah.
That was great, wasn't it?
But thirdly, fuck me, it's 50 years old, Gav. So happy 50th to Jules, because that's crazy that film is part of my childhood. You know, I saw that at probably too young an age. It was on TV. It was a big event. You know, BBC One is showing Jules tonight, probably in the early 80s.
Yeah, because we just didn't have like the access to films we do now, so we relied on TV at times.
And the fact that it's 50 now is pretty crazy, really.
Yeah, I saw. I saw a bit. I'm in a few Jaws fan groups on Facebook, and someone put a still picture of Hooper when he's just kind of turns up, or when he's out telling them to like don't get in the boat or whether you're going to drown. And one of the guys is behind him. It's just after that. What? This guy behind him is blowing on his neck.
Huh. How strange.
And someone said, I've never realised this. All the times I've watched it, look at the guy on the back pond going, it looks like. So I don't know, I'm going to watch that again at some point. But I'm gutted. Like, twice now, I've brought brand new Blu-ray copies of Jaws. And the first time, same as this time, I think, really, I didn't get round to watching it for a while. So wherever I bought it from or whatever, I'm not going to be able to take it back. And the moment when he just sees the shark come up, when he's putting the bait in the water, and Roy's looking at kind of up to the boat, up towards the camera.
When he says, "When you come down here and jump,"
and that bit there, that fucks up. And so I bought another. I was like, for fuck's sake! But the disc is fine. Bought another one, still does it. It's like,
must
what?
Be that print.
Yeah, so I'm waiting. I don't really want to have to buy 4K and shit because I haven't got a 4K TV for a start. I'm waiting for, I don't know, there is a 50th one, but it's all 4K and shit. But I want to get a different version of it because I'm gutted. I'm just like, what the fuck, you know?
That's a shame.
Yes.
Well, the last one I watched, last thing to watch.
Happy birthday, Jaws.
Yeah, happy birthday to that
fantastic
big bad
film.
Bruce.
If you've never seen Jaws, go and watch it.
Well, our most popular episode ever has been the Spielberg episode that we did a long time ago where we covered Jaws and Jurassic Park. But our most popular episode in the last 2 years is now our Kevin Bacon episode. The numbers on that just keep going up. So that was only a couple of months ago we covered.
It's the bacon sandwich, isn't it?
It's the bacon sandwich. And talking of which, the last film I watched only this afternoon, I really wanted to revisit Cop Car. And I had it on TiVo, recorded from a while back. So I watched Cop Car.
That was kind of fun, that movie, yeah.
It's good. It's really good. He plays a piece of shit in it, as always, and he does it really well.
Oh, yeah, that's true, yeah. And I was thinking also, Let's Be Cops as well. It's a totally different film.
That is a different film. Cop Car is where he's got a guy in the trunk of his cop car. 2 kids steal it, go for a joyride. And then he's also got a stash of cocaine, heroin, gold bullion, money, guns, and he's like, fuck, these kids are going to unravel my entire scheme.
I did watch a movie.
Yes.
Ride the Eagle.
Ooh, sexy.
It's a movie, I think it was shot in lockdown. So there's only a few actors in it, but they're quite like not with other people. It's a lot of more of like one guy doing monologues. Now the guy, I'm going to have to look it up because I can't remember. I don't know what his name is, but I like him, so that's why I watched it. And it's about him. He plays a guy called Leaf, and his mum's Susan Sarandon, who's passed away, and she sent him a video saying, "I was never there for you," because she joined a cult when he was 12 and abandoned him. So she left all these videotapes for him, a cabin, and says like, "You do these tasks, and then you can have the cabin." Sort of thing, and it's quite a sweet thing. He goes up there and opens up all the cupboards, and it's all full of weed. It's like, what the fuck, mum? Stuff, but it's quite a fun movie. I find the actor it's quite pleasant. Now I was thinking of you, but I don't know. It might make you sad. It's because of your mum and stuff.
Yeah. Well, no, but I like to watch stuff like that.
But
though.
At the same time, I think actually you would like it in a way.
Yeah.
So it's on Prime. Ride the Eagle, 2021, and it stars Jack Johnson is the guy. See, I don't even know his name, but I really like him. And if you looked it up, you'd go, "Oh, I know that guy," and I think he's in Let's Be Cops, and that's why I'm saying it.
Because
I got
the
it all.
link.
Yeah, and it's a really, really nice sort of film, really. Yeah, it's just quite nice.
I'm just adding it to my watch list now.
I think
Jack.
so, but I think you'll have a little tear, you will, Daniel.
Oh, that's all right though. Yeah, I know Jack Johnson. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely worth a watch for you. I think it's a pleasant movie. I wanted a pleasant thing to watch. I want something pleasant.
Nice to watch.
Nice
to watch stuff like that sometimes. Isn't it?
Sometimes, because I'm weird, I have these rules. You know what I'm like. Oh, it's seasonal. I'm gonna have to watch seasonal movies and all this stuff. I have these weird things because I'm weird like that. Probably slightly autistic, I assume. Why am I telling you this now?
And now you've forgotten where you were going. So sometimes you like to watch a nice movie.
I always used to think, late at night, I'll have to watch horror movies. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's because I can get rid of it. I think it's probably from being a parent and when you can watch them when it's early in the day. Nowadays, I have an 18-year-old and I watch horror movies with my kids. It's not even a thing. So, but it's sort of in my head. But so it's nice the other night to go to bed late at night and watch a pleasant movie. It was quite nice.
And I know my brain well enough now. Same with you. After 47 years now, Jesus, I'm 47, that I know what I'm in the mood for. And that's normally horror, but sometimes I'll just want an 80s classic. I want something like even a rom-com or a comedy.
It's like being an artist, like even a traditional artist painting a picture. You kind of need to know what that picture is you're going to paint, because otherwise you're going to sit there streaming, looking for all these movies on the streaming devices. You're never going to find something to watch. I did this the other night and I was like, fuck's sake, what's the point? Me and Sarah did it recently. We could not find anything to watch, so we ended up going back to shit that we know. Like we actually watched a load of Family Guy over the weekend because we know that, and it's, you know.
But that felt really good for me watching Jules the other night because I've seen it a million times.
It's comfort.
It's
food.
Just so comforting, and I was still laughing at it.
I was thinking I wouldn't mind actually going to Martha's Vineyard one day for a holiday.
Oh yeah,
That'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
It would, yeah.
We should go. Listeners, can you fund Dan and I to go to Martha's Vineyard? We can do a live podcast from there. You know. Anyway, should we get on with the film?
Yeah. Well, let's read Don's email because it is his episode, and why he's picked these two films, Climax and the Greasy Strangler.
No, I've never seen the title of Climax, and at the end it says "ooh."
Well, that's how it goes in my head.
Ooh la la! Thinking of Commando.
Ooh la la!
Ooh la la! I had to let him go.
So here is Don's email. He says, "Okay, here we go."
Here we go.
I like the way he's bracing me. So, as
at least
I mentioned,
it's not a Serbian film.
Oh, Jesus. Thank God. Never ever pick that, patrons, please.
Or Gav pick that.
Yes. He says, okay, here we go. So, as I mentioned, I was going to go in a few directions with my picks. Favourites from my childhood, maybe some Asian horror that I love, found footage, which I'm a big fan of, or a couple of series that my daughter and I always enjoy, like Saw or Final Destination. Those are my options. But I had one more idea, and it was this wonderful little double feature of Climax and the Greasy Strangler. Good, wholesome cinema for the whole family. I showed both of these movies to my girlfriend and my daughter during COVID, and believe it or not, they hit. I mean, Climax is a legitimately good movie by a brilliant director, Gaspar Noé, who's made some other brilliant films like Irreversible and Enter the Void. The guy just has a trippy and dreamlike style that feels wrong and uncomfortable while also being beautiful. The movie was made with mostly dancers and a few recognisable actors outside of Sofia Boutella. The dancing and the music are wild. I'm not much of a dancer. He says in brackets, I've got a couple of moves from my breakdancing days. Yeah, Don.
Nice, man. I used to try. I used to always want a windmill. I could never do it.
Breakdancing days. And don't watch a lot of dance-themed films. But I did love the Suspiria remake, and I liked Black Swan. But this one just gets me. We rewatch the dance scenes over and over, and to this day, if my daughter's at a club or a show and music from this film comes on, she sends me a video. I just love it. It's a dark movie too. I mean, I've done my share of acid and mushrooms over the years. I've been dosed. I've been dosed before too, so this just hits. Where it goes with the sex and the violence and the kid, yikes, it's all pure nightmare fuel. Agreed, but we'll get into that. Take a breath. Now he talks about the Greasy Strangler. He says, now talking classics. The Greasy Strangler. I don't know exactly why or how, but this movie just hit right at the right time, and it's a cult classic in my household. We say lines from it all the time, like, bullshit artist. Just saying that makes me laugh. And he says, I've received a Greasy Strangler themed birthday card in the past. Who are these characters? What world do they live in? Where did they get these amazing outfits? And the music. Talk about music. It just gets in your brain. And it's all just so odd with the strangest dialogue. Gav's laughing, Don, as I'm reading this out. We haven't even got to the main review yet. He says, needless to say, it's a bit of a polarising film, but it would always be a classic to me. And it has that perfect nostalgia / cult classic feel that just made me want to share it with my good buddies, Dan and Gav. I kind of figured these might be fun to talk about too. I wanted to write more, and I have plenty to say, but the people are here for you guys, not me. I do want to add that I really enjoyed watching Amanda on the Deadbolt Films YouTube channel.
Oh, there we go.
He says, I had no idea my man Gav was the star, as I've never seen either of you before, but I knew that voice right away, and well done, sir. You know I love my found footage, and if I ever record again, I'll give it a mention for sure.
Oh, thanks, dude.
He says that'll really give you a boost. Ha! He's being sarcastic there.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's cool watching something made by people I consider friends of a sort, and in our own way, in this little horror movie podcasting world, we are friends. So I'm really impressed and proud of you guys, and I don't think I've missed your excellent performance. Dan, he says, Dan, I don't think I've missed your excellent performance as guy on the radio. You nailed it. Seriously, I so hope to watch more and would love to support or help in the future. I'm not on social media, but let us, your fans and friends, know how we can support. Lastly, as I mentioned to Dan, just don't get too big for us and stop podcasting. Don't forget the little guys. And he finishes up with, as usual, you guys have helped me keep sane as life has its ups and downs. Both of you sharing openly and transparently is part of why I love the show. Hearing your successes, failures, losses and gains and all the embarrassing real moments are what make this show what it is. So as I've said before, keep it up, and cheers to both of you and your family and loved ones. Your buddy from across the pond in New Jersey, Don C. And he says he's Donnie Darko 11 on Letterboxd, and I'm still trying to get you guys on there because he said that last time.
I did join, didn't I? And I just didn't understand it. I was just old man with it, and
too much.
I appreciate everything you're saying there, dude. I imagine that we could all hang out if we were ever in person, because we could talk breakdancing, which means you like hip hop. And old school hip hop, presumably as well, sort of New York stuff and that, I imagine. So that'd be cool. And then we could chat found footage as well. So I appreciate you watching, Amanda. Thank you.
And if I remember rightly, he lives very close to the original Friday the 13th filming locations as well.
We just need to go on tour, don't we?
We just need to go. Let's do a tour with our patrons, go and visit them all around the world.
Martha's Vineyard at the same time. And thanks for that. Only reason I was in Amanda's because it's the easiest, cheapest person to get. Funny enough, I did speak to Dan about this. I was like, if we go into production on a proper film next year, I'm going to have a moment where I'm going to have to be like, I can't record, so we'd have to either bank episodes or have a slight hiatus. But wait and see.
Yeah,
got to get the money to make a movie yet. Any dentists out there? Give us a
with
shout.
credit cards.
Yeah.
Sam Raimi, can you let us know your dentist's name?
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for your letter, Don, on the films and the film choices. Yes, there could be interesting conversations on both films. So.
Indeed. So we're going to kick off with Climax. Weirdly, we're going to start with Climax.
Greasy Strangler is a little bit more fun, and I think it's a little bit more fun at the end of the show. We'll go heavy and then we go lighter, I think.
We'll get the
heavy then greasy.
We'll get the sort of dark LSD rape and child death out of the way, and then we'll end up with the dipping it in all the way.
Dipping it in
at the end of the show.
All the way with Big Ronnie.
So yeah,
sounds like a
brace
podcast.
Yourselves, guys.
Dipping in all the way with Big Ronnie. All right. Anyway, yes, brace yourselves. This is going to be an interesting episode, guys.
Here's a trailer for Climax.
If you couldn't dance, what would you do? Suicide. Ça représente quoi la danse pour toi? C'est tout pour moi. La danse, c'est tout pour moi. J'ai que ça.
Est-ce que t'es prêt à beaucoup de choses pour réussir?
C'est-à-dire?
Oh, you're so good. Thank you. Liked it? Thanks. I'm so happy. I couldn't be happier.
Truc qui monte.
Qu'est-ce que t'as? Tu sais garder un secret. Ce qui ne me tue pas me rend plus forte.
Climax from 2018, rated 18, an hour and 37 minutes. French dancers gather in a remote, empty school building to rehearse on a wintry night. The all-night celebration morphs into hallucinatory nightmare when they learn their sangria is laced with LSD acid. I was just mentioning Dan before we started recording. I don't really know Gasparno's films. I don't know what I've seen. Let me look.
My favourite of his is Irreversible, although it's a really tough watch, but it really hits you emotionally. And there's another film he did which is really great called Enter the Void, which is just, he's so experimental, but he has done a whole bunch of movies, not quite a few. He's very well known. So I think this is probably our first of his films we've ever covered. Very arty, experimental, out there. He's Argentinian, I believe. He is Argentinian. It's just, it does some very crazy stuff. I think one of his films is called Sodomites as well. That kind of says a little bit there about him. So Don, this is the first movie of yours that we're covering. This is my second watch of this. I only actually watched this for the first time about a year ago. It was on Netflix UK. I'd wanted to check it out. I'd heard it was good. I'd had it recommended by another podcaster. So checked it out, and yeah, I did enjoy it. But it is a tough watch, like a lot of his films are. It is a tough watch. And if you're not into that kind of arty style, experimental style, it might not be for everybody. I understand why it might be a lot of people's favourites, and it's obviously one of yours as well, Don. But there's a lot to take away from it. It's part of the reason it's a hard watch is because there's some really long, extended dance routines with some crazy dancing going on, contemporary dancing and almost break dancing at times as well. But also there's some really dark elements to it as well. Essentially, as the synopsis says, this group of French dancers, mostly French dancers, there's a German in there and a couple of others, they get their drinks spiked at a party, and it just gets worse and darker and darker and more sexual and more violent and more sexually violent. And it makes you feel like you're having a really bad trip. He does an amazing job of capturing that. I've never done acid or LSD myself, but I have had my drink spiked with not one but two ecstasy tabs, I found out. So I was double tripping my balls off, not quite knowing what was going on. And the people that did it thought it would be really fun to fuck with me. It was a really bad experience that stuck with me for months. Because I didn't know what was going on at the time. I just thought, is this my life now? Is this what's happening to me? I've also had a really bad experience with mushrooms. I've had a good experience, but I don't generally get on well with hallucinogenics. So I tried mushrooms a few times, and the last couple of times I've done them really didn't gel with me. And I had a very nightmarish experience where I was talking to inanimate objects because I thought they were real, and they were turning into cartoon characters. And a lot of the scenes in this film, especially when they go away from the main party and you can hear the thumping bass in the background and the people screaming and laughing, really does hit a strike a nerve with me and probably other viewers who've been at these situations where you've been on another plane, as it were, and you know, you can hear all this other stuff. You want to be back at the party, but you're also too paranoid, and you don't trust anyone, but you want a hug, and all these kind of weird feelings that you feel. It's a film quite unlike any other, but it's also a very Gaspar Noé film as well. This was your first watch, Gav, I believe.
Yeah, no, I hadn't seen it. Not really seen much of his films, like I said, but I can understand the sort of films he makes without seeing them. So I'm not really the best qualified to watch this in some senses. I'll be watching this from face value. So I'm possibly not going to get what I think Don sees because, you know, I can understand though, as the filmmaker, I can understand where he wants to. He's like, I'd love to go. Maybe he's experienced a bad trip himself or something one time, and he's just gone, you know what? As an artist and a creative person, you pull from experiences, and you all the time. I'm always coming up with ideas for films and things. It might be shit and that will not go anywhere, but it's always, you know, buzzing. So like coming up with this again, I could make this film, but make it like how it feels to have that experience. I've not myself done acid because I've never wanted to be out of my mind in that sense. I never ever really liked being too drunk, to be honest with you. I like to be in good control of my mind. I've always been worried I don't want to lose my mind. So I never did that so much, acid or anything really. So, like I say, and at free parties, there used to always be free parties and stuff, and I never went to them because it's not my scene. So I'm not the best choreographer, like I said, for this. Tell you one thing though, I have worked a lot with dancers, filming them, a lot with dancers. I've made documentaries about dancers and all sorts. And going on journeys with kids, troubled kids, who've come from bad backgrounds, and then gone on a journey using dance as a release, and using their emotion to whatever they've got going on inside them to release and do this strange, weird dance or whatever. The dancing in this is phenomenal. The choreography, because you've got these massive long oneers with some of this stuff. The dance choreography, for them to set that up, because the camera doesn't do too much, because you don't want the camera to do much, because it's
very
too hard.
Subtle.
It'd be too hard
Initially, very subtle initially, camera movement.
Yeah, you want it slowly goes up, then comes back down, it stays static, but that's what you want, because the dance choreography would have taken a long time to get all that correct, and the energy that all those dancers have, they'd have to be dancers. You couldn't get actors to learn dancing. You'd have to have dancers that are going to have to act, and the chemistry the energy those dancers have is crazy. It's incredible. So I'm going to say this to my friend Rachel, shout out Rachel, who's a dance teacher, used to be, not anymore, but tell her to watch this. And I was going to watch it with her many years ago, but we never did when this first came out. It was at Fright Fest. I think it might have shut Fright Fest one year when it came out, and I was going to watch it. I don't think I'd have got along with it very well in the cinema. I'm glad I didn't. I'm too ADHD with stuff, especially nowadays in my older age. I would need things to keep going, and I appreciate the dance sequences in this a bit, and I can understand whether the director wanted to make this film, and he has made this film, but at times you're like, get to the point, because obviously you're trying to make a point with birth, death, abortion, children, life's exquisite, death's exquisite, all this stuff. You're trying to make a point. Can you fucking get to it? It's just like, Christ's sake, it still feels like it dawdles a bit, and I don't know. I actually thought it was going to be more shocking than it was. It wasn't actually shocking, or I'm just too desensitised nowadays. But I appreciate the film for what it is and what the director's doing. He's achieved what he wanted to do, definitely, I think. It's not for me, though. This film isn't for me.
I think for all the violence in this film, and some of the dark stuff, and some of the conversations that are had around, sexual violence and stuff like that. There's a very uncomfortable scene which we'll get to at one point. I think the thing I take away from this film, even on my second viewing, is I remember the dancing. And that probably should be what it is, because it is essentially a story about a group of dancers, and quite rightly, as you said, Gav, they're phenomenal. And there's one scene in particular which I absolutely love, which is where they're all just coming up on their LSD a little bit, and they're in a circle, and the camera is
like a B-boy circle.
Bird's eye, yeah. And it's a bird's eye view down, and you've never really seen dancers from above like that, and the way they're doing their moves and throwing themselves upside down, it looked incredible. It looked like they were defying gravity.
When I was watching it, I used to always struggle when filming dancers. Sometimes I would get in there and end up kind of doing a dance with them with my camera. I'd become like one with them, and I'd have to always use a wide camera lens. Like when you're filming skateboarding, you get a big wide lens so you get close to the action, and it looks a little better. It's like fight sequences in action movies. You want to get big, wide and close. And I'd always have to find it with this. But when I was watching it, and I was like, oh, fuck, I wish I could have done that. There was all wooden beams in most of the studios that I shot in. We could have got up there with a ladder and attached the camera, having it coming down. And I started thinking about it all, and I was like, yeah, but then the memory card's going to run out. You have to keep out there, press record, come down. But I did really like the bird's eye view. It's such a simple shot, but with the breaking circle, so to speak, with the bird's eye shot, it just worked really well. And then later on, when they start getting a bit more fucked up, that same shot is there, but the camera now starts rotating.
Yeah. He's very clever with his use of cameras, particularly the end reel, which is upside down. The whole reel is almost upside down, like everybody's on the ceiling. And because the lights are all red because they've had a power cut, and we will get into the film in a moment, to me, that was like watching a 15-minute, like hell. It was basically like hell. Because everything is red, everyone was screaming and writhing around.
Yeah, this for me is like, it's not a fun film. It's not a fun movie. No. It's not a movie I'd want to watch again. Obviously, I know, Don, you really like it. Your household likes it, and your family, and you watch it over repeatedly. I just don't want to spend my time watching something like this because it's just a little bit too bleak, really. There's just no fun to it. I'm not getting anything out of it. I'm definitely not getting a message about how much I should be appreciating life. It's okay if you die because you can appreciate death as well, because that's actually a good experience as well. Not that you know this, so I could guess. So, I don't know. But I appreciate how hard it is to make a fucking film, and I appreciate a director whose vision they could just go ahead and do that, because I struggle to do that myself a little bit, and I really appreciate someone who could just go do that and get it made and get out there, and it's definitely what the director wanted to make, for sure.
And I think another thing that might have been inspiration for him as well is towards the end, when everybody's really tripping out and we're really focusing on Selva, who's our main character in a way. Sophia Botella plays her. With all the contortionism that's going on, it just adds to that hellish visual that, when you've got people whose arms are around the wrong way and their heads are upside down.
Back and forth. You're definitely correct with the saying it's like hell. It's basically the location's like one building, and you're definitely correct saying when that sort of goes down, it's now hell. It's like, imagine you're just endless corridors walking around and just seeing just weird things, almost like As Above, So Below, the found footage French film, where they're just going around the catacombs, round and around the corner, that sort of thing, just for endless, like it's hell, it's lost, it's never going to end, this is eternity now,
Because we follow characters around these corridors, don't we? As they approach different rooms, and there's people crying, there's
just
people
different shit going on, and just not fun stuff at all. I thought it was going to be more full on. I thought there was going to be like full on sexual scenes for some reason. I thought it was going to be full on violence and stuff, and there isn't really. I guess in some senses, if you're using dancers rather than actors and getting dancers to act, I'm sure you got them who I'm not saying that they're not actors, well, they might have also been actors as well, but maybe it was just, you just didn't want to go that far of it. I don't know, it's really strange. I feel like if you're doing this, you could take this to 11. Do you know what I mean?
I agree, but I also like that because the violence it's very much there, but it's not so in your face. No. It is like you're just walking past a scene, but you didn't
it's
have
like
to
you're there yourself walking past a room, and this movie happens to be the room.
And the stuff with the child is like quite dark, isn't it? And the way that plays into the talk about abortion and all that kind of stuff.
As you know, becoming a parent, you look at the child stuff in films and you can sort of go a little bit like, oh, no, not interested sometimes, and stuff a little bit more than you would before being a parent. And this didn't faze me too much. I tell you, the sort of scene like this, which sticks with me and haunts me, and I've got it on Blu-ray and I've not seen it again, but I need to, is Under the Skin, when the dad's been killed. The dad's been killed, and because the tide's coming in. That's how horrible that scene is, and the baby's left on the beach looking around him crying, and the tide's coming in. That's just absolutely just devastating to me.
Well, even in Jules, watching that the other night, the little kid crying on the beach when all the chaos is going on, that kind of pulls at my heartstrings a bit. Totally.
But the other scene though, the water's coming in and that baby's going to die, and that's just fucking horrible. But this scene, the kid is going to electrocute himself. We'll get into it, guys. But for whatever reason, didn't really affect me too much. It's a bit like meh. Which I was very surprised with. I don't know why, but I feel like this movie was going to go further than it did. But let's start talking about it, Daniel.
Yeah, well, one final bit of trivia. Being the clever director he is, it snowed by chance. So they added in all the bits with snow because they suddenly had some snow to play with. So any scenes with snow, particularly the intro and the outro.
A lot, yeah.
Not a lot, but he threw in a few scenes, just to add to it because they suddenly had some snow. So he took what nature gave him and threw it in the film.
Like we did with And Nothing Hurt.
Just about to say that. We had a major snowstorm to the point I couldn't even make it to set because all my trains were cancelled.
I know, gutted. But I was on set and I was just like, right, the next day go back and all the snow's gone. It's like, well, that's okay because we filmed the intro and the outro yesterday because we used that for snow, and now it's not going to be snow, and it works perfectly, and it actually worked better than I expected.
Yeah, So we start in the snow with a girl bleeding and stumbling through the snow. She collapses and screams and cries.
Bird eye shot, actually. Shots like this is quite nice. It's that whole sort of someone. You've seen it many a time in a movie, especially slasher films that opening like someone being chased or them crawling along, sort of thing. But this is nice. Snow crawling along, a little bit of trail of blood behind them. Just nice. Snow works well for stuff like this.
And it does say based on real events, which.
She does.
It isn't true, but
no, of course not. She does probably the director getting fucked up and just imagining this shit. Yeah, she does the crappiest dead snow angel I've ever seen.
She does do a dead snow angel, and then we get some end credits come up 45 seconds in.
Okay, I've got to say though, we do. I find this slightly pretentious, and it's like, why? Well,
we get the end credits now
because it's different,
and then later on in the film we get all the actor credits come up and all the music credits, and then we get the title of the film is the last thing we see, Climax, right at the end of the film.
Yeah,
it says, and I get that, but it is. I think it just adds to the trippy nature of what you're watching.
I guess it, but I don't know. It's. I guess it's not pretentious, but it does. I guess you're right. It's trying to go with that, but I just feel I feel less is more. I feel that this is an instance of not that, and this is more trying to be more.
Yeah, I've never really been on board. I'll be honest with you. It doesn't bother me, but I've never been on board when the title card comes up an hour into a film, or
I'd rather just go straight into that film. You don't need.
I don't mind a really long extended intro scene.
Yeah,
but.
Back in the day, films like your 40s, 50s, whatever, you had every credit at the beginning, and when the film ends, the last picture of the shot of film, you might just get the end, and that is it, and then it just stops. Maybe a copyright scene, but that's it because it's all at the beginning. So I don't know. Anyway, yes.
And then they started saying a good cast is worth repeating sometimes, and then they would quickly tell you again who was in it. So that's our opening scene, is this girl. We're going to find out more about her, what she's escaped from later on. But we do start off with a very quick, well, I say quick, it's a long scene, it's a quick interview with everybody, all patched together. So basically every dancer in this has like a little interview about what they like about dancing, what they're hoping to get out of dancing, why they dance. Some people are like, I would die if I couldn't dance. Some are like, it's like having sex for me. Some of them are gay, some of them are straight, some of them are bi. There's a brother and sister, there's some cousins. They talk about violence, they talk about drugs and being on drugs and taking drugs and hopes and dreams. It's all discussed over about a 10-minute scene.
And do you see the
which
format?
Is displayed?
Yeah.
Yes,
right.
It's displayed on VHS.
It's basically saying that these auditions have been recorded like on a camcorder, VHS tape camcorder. It feels like almost, and then they're just being played on a old square telly. And next to it, you've got though, it's really funny. You've got DVDs that have been
VHS
photoshopped. Compressed into VHS. They've been it looks like it looks like tape cassettes. They don't look like videotapes. They look like tape cassettes because it's just been so squashed and formatted. It's really weird. I think it's just the way the films come out afterwards. But yeah, you got like Suspiria, Zombie, Salo. Then the inauguration of The Pleasure is one of them.
Possessor. There's a whole bunch of films on either side of the TV.
And is that supposed to symbolise what this film has inspiration from or something?
Well, I would say so, yeah, because clearly Suspiria is one of the ones which I think would have inspired him. because at one point when they start realizing that this place is weird and they're all feeling funny, a couple of the guys start talking about, what are all these crosses on the wall, these flags? It's like a weird cult that we're in. And that really reminded me of Suspiria, because obviously that is a cult. It is like a witch's school, what you call it, a witch's coven. Yeah. So to me, there's a lot of Suspiria in this. And Don mentioned that in his email, and I can see why, if he likes this, he would definitely like the new Suspiria, which I did enjoy the new Suspiria.
Not enough Salo in this, though, that's for sure. Because you get the guys, like, you keep cutting to, like, especially two dudes who just keep talking about sex constantly, and everyone's talking about sex, but there's not really any sex in it. I found that really weird.
There's quite a bit towards the end.
There's a little bit humping on the floor, not so much. I thought, I don't know. But then again, towards the end, the whole shot is like the scene what we've had, the low camera along the dance floor, not to jump to the end, but I am. But it's the camera's just, we're turning it 180, and in editing, we just flip it upside down. Okay, and so the camera's just going on. So you can't actually see what's going on. The geography is just like, I don't know what's going on. It's just all red and dark. I can't really see what's going on. I guess it's supposed to be the nightmare it is you're having, but we'll get to that. But I don't know.
Well, we start off with, just before the party, there's one more rehearsal by this dance troupe. And we got the DJ, whose name is Daddy. And he starts playing some tunes. And we get this incredible...
His hair later on. Woo!
Well, his wig that he's wearing, yeah. We get this incredible routine, which is a oneer, where everybody gets to strut their stuff, and we get some crazy moves.
Really, really impressive dancing.
It goes on and on and on, but not in a bad way.
No, and that's why it's so impressive, because that would have taken a long time to sort out.
But it feels very natural as well, like almost like, now it's your turn, what moves are you going to do? But they've been rehearsing this, because we find out this is a rehearsal. And this is where we get probably the most subtle camera work, most gentle camera work.
Yeah.
It's just in one place, like you said, wide, and we just get to see, because when one dancer goes off to the side, they remain in the lens, in the screen, and then the next dancer steps into the middle, and sometimes there's two people, sometimes there's one, and they're doing all these amazing dances.
It's at times fairly good soundtracks, very fall to the floor house music.
Oh yeah,
a lot of sort of French house. You got they sort of. At one point in the movie, it just cuts into loads of logos from loads of bands that they like.
That's when the credits kick in.
Yeah, which is
so that's all the
strange.
Actors, and then all the bands that are in it.
And you get like Daft Punk, etc., and there's that sort of music in it.
So the music parallels what's going on in this. So the music starts off very light and happy, hardcore, happy house.
Happy hardcore.
But every time it gets a bit darker and a bit darker, the music and the bass gets deeper, and the dark, we get some dark house later on, and then it gets to this almost sort of, I don't even know how to describe some of the genre of music playing towards the end. It's just like industrial, bassy, 4 a.m. peeled up to your eyeballs at a big warehouse party music. Because there's a moment in the middle where they start playing like pump up the volume, dance, doom, 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 bomb the bass. And you get a load of decent tracks in there.
That wasn't Bomb the Bass, that was Mars.
It was Mars, sorry, yeah.
There's one dance move I really like, where it's a guy on the floor and they all move his arms and legs.
Yeah, that looked really cool.
I was like, oh, that's really cool. I want to do that.
Like he's a big puppet.
Yeah.
Well, they finish up their routine and they're like clapping. Oh, yeah, great. Right, now we can party, because they've worked hard on this dance routine, and they're apparently going up against some Americans in a big dance competition. And they got a table laid out with loads of food on it, loads of drinks, and a big bowl of punch, which is laced with LSD, but they don't know that yet.
And there's absolutely no way that a child should be in this environment. But there is.
There's a little boy there. Now, there's people smoking weed.
To be fair, he's got fairly old and she hasn't killed him yet. So,
His mum is part of this dance troupe, and she's made the punch and everything else. She's not the one that's laced it that we know of, but everybody's drinking this punch.
We don't actually know, because a few people blamed. We don't actually know who did it, do we?
Well, I couldn't figure it out. This is my second viewing.
It's like a murder mystery.
So I don't know who, and more importantly, I don't know why someone's done this either. I'm wondering this time around, because one of the final shots is of a girl dropping LSD into her eyeballs.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if if it was her or if someone accidentally dropped it in there.
Well,
It's a lot of fucking LSD in there.
Earlier on, though, in the thing that's a reference back to earlier on. Someone's talking about acid putting it into eyeballs.
Yeah,
and she then goes and does that exact thing. Yeah.
This kid's there, and some of them comment like, "Why is he here?" And it's like, well, his mum, wants him here. She looks after him.
Very quickly, still impressively, still a oneer. We're still at a oneer. They've all of a sudden, and they act fine. Earlier on, I hope I wasn't insulting saying there's dancers, not actors, but they act absolutely fine. I love the fact as soon as they've come out of that dancing, which would have been a lot of work to get right and make you out of breath, they go straight into acting, and the camera keeps going. Doesn't seem to be a cut. There might be a cut, but
I believe it's a 45-minute oneer.
No, it's not.
Is it not?
No, not at all.
Maybe I misread that.
Yeah, it's definitely not, because I remember when it cut, as the point it cuts. I think I've got it actually. I kept up it, so we get to that.
It's quite a long oneer anyway.
I know where it cuts, so it come in my notes.
So everybody's there getting merry, and there's a guy called David, I should say, who is really encouraging people to drink. So there's a few red herrings, because now we know there's LSD in the punch, which they don't yet, and it's not revealed in the plot yet. He's really like, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink, have a drink, and everyone's like, yeah, I am. Some people are happy to just sip a beer. There's one guy called Omar who doesn't drink, I guess for religious purposes, and everybody's sort of getting involved in their own way. People are smoking weed.
To be really boring and technical here, one thing I thought was like, how the fuck do they manage to shoot all that with memory cards with enough space? Because they're probably shooting like 6K or something. So a memory card needs to be nowadays ridiculously big. So I figured they must be sending it via a Bluetooth type system to a hard drive and stuff, and that's really boring and doesn't no reflection upon the story or anything. But I was just so confused because the camera is still going. I was just like, wow, it's still going. Because in my notes, the camera's still going.
Well, now there's films out there that are just an entire oneer, aren't they? I mean, you've got to look at Adolescence, which is for 1 hour.
I need to get technical with the camera department. I just want to know how they do that shit.
Now, Gav, there is something I want to ask you about here as a DJ, and I know this will annoy you. There's 2 girls sitting on the deck table while he's DJing.
I didn't really notice that, actually. I assumed they were they're just on the desk, though, yeah? And they're not actually on his decks.
No, but his decks are there, and he's spinning tunes, and they're just sat up on there smoking cigarettes and drinking.
Man, I've had all sorts when I've DJed.
That would annoy you, wouldn't it?
I've had drinks spilt on my decks, all sorts, man. I've had fucking ashtray come flying past me, hit one of my turntables, and just go flying off. Make the record jump. Actually, record playing a glass ashtray.
Somebody I know once smashed my CD deck because I was playing a Justin Timberlake song at a party, and someone came up to me and smashed their fist down on the lid of my CD decks and broke it.
Wow.
It still worked, but I just didn't have a lid on that deck anymore.
Oh, shit.
So we sent him to bed. He actually lived with me. I was like, you better go off to bed, mate. You're going to get knocked out. Then I put back on Justin Timberlake. I thought, I'm playing Sexy Back. Let me play it. Come on. Everyone was enjoying it.
I love the fact, though, that he wanted to express his feelings for Justin Timberlake, though.
He didn't like it.
Which I think is brilliant.
That was Rob, by the way.
Was it?
Yeah, he was so drunk. He's not a violent man, but he was so drunk and so pissed off.
Justin Timberlake was just not making him happy.
That was what pushed him over the edge. And in the morning, because me and him lived together. In the morning, we lived together, you see, so it was just me and him. So in the morning, he came in the living room and I went, you owe me an apology. And he went, what for? And I went, you smashed my fucking decks last night. He didn't even remember doing it. He said, sorry. You think he bought me a bottle of rum or something?
Did you tell him why?
Yeah.
What did he say?
We both laughed about it because in the morning when you've got a hangover and you're just like, Justin Timberlake provoked you to smash your fist down through my deck lid.
Yeah.
I think he had a cut on his hand as well. So
that makes sense, yeah.
Love you, Rob. One of my best friends. Yes, so the DJ, Daddy is spinning all these tunes and the girl, everybody knows each other. They're so comfortable.
We have a flash up of being born is a unique opportunity.
We do.
Just flashes up.
We get these messages. And the little boy is there, Tito, and he's like, I want to try the punch.
And they've also already been speaking of abortion, two ladies were. So there's a thing going on here with birth and abortion. Should you be alive? Should you not? But life is amazing. Death is also amazing.
And even when Tito is there, they say, well, she didn't abort him and he's turned out all right.
Yeah.
So it's just very blasé about it.
Yeah.
The kid wants to try the punch, and obviously quite rightly.
This is the end of the one take.
Okay. Maybe it's a 14-minute one, and then I thought
it's something like that, I'd have thought.
But they take the punch away from him, and she says, it's not juice, Tito. It's for adults. And he's like, oh. But then Selva, played by Sophia Boutelle, comes over, and she grabs him, and she has a little dance with him. And this is where Pump Up the Volume comes on. Great tune.
Yeah, no, the camera's still going. Okay, yeah.
A lot of Rakim samples in that song. Absolutely love it. And eventually the kid goes up to bed, and this is where the two girls are really discussing abortion now.
Yeah.
Secretly, one of the characters, we'll find out, is secretly pregnant later on, which is brutal when she's kicked in the stomach later on. Fucking hell. Yeah. And upstairs we see Mum saying goodnight to her son. She says,
so the camera's stopped there.
She says, I love you very much. I'm going to go back downstairs now and just make sure everyone's happy at the party and got all the food and drinks they need. But close your eyes and I'll come back and see you later on. And when you're grown up, you could be a dancer as well if you want, because you really love dancing as well, don't you, Tito? And she leaves him upstairs. For now, people start getting a bit more paranoid, because, again, on my second viewing now, I realise how much LSD is in that punch. And you can start seeing people being a little bit more paranoid, but also conversations are getting deeper. We've all been at parties where substances are around. Conversations start getting a lot deeper. And there's a slight agitation in the air now at the party. We find out that pretty much everybody there has either fucked some or all of them, or wants to fuck most of the people in that dance troupe. So it's quite an incestuous dance troupe. David is telling his friend Omar, who doesn't drink, I really want a threesome with the two blondes. I just want a threesome.
They're all
with
just
them.
talking about shagging. That's why I'm saying that. I guess at the end there might be, but you just can't see it because it's just not clear enough. So
the two guys who are cousins are discussing that they think this whole place is haunted, or could have had like a cult or a sect in it because of all the crucifixes and crosses and flags that are up. And everybody's mentioned this at some point, and they all get a weird vibe from the dance centre.
On a technical vibe again, because I can't help it. With this movie, I just notice it, especially as an editor. Each clip that goes back and forwards to people talking, there's a slight gap of black, so it's almost like you're blinking a little bit. There's a slight gap, a little bit fade out and fade in, just a little bit. What is the point? There is no point of this at all. It doesn't do any. I want to know. To please tell me, why is your choice to do that? It doesn't. I don't know. Is this something happens when you have acid? Do you have like these kind of going in and out or something? Do you know what I mean? I don't know why that choice is there, and I find it a little frustrating.
Well, everybody's inhibitions are dropping as the discussions of sex are happening all right in the room. Obviously, there's loud music playing, so you can only hear the only conversation you're in. Those two cousins, they start having what is, for me, the most uncomfortable moment of the film, which is, especially in light of like everything we know now and how we should be treating other people, the way they're talking about the women and what they're going to do to all the women with their big long dicks. Yeah. It's just really uncomfortable.
I started finding it a bit boring. It was just the same sort of thing over and over, really. Back and forth, cut, back and forth, talk about sex. It's like, okay, come on, let's get to it then. Not really the sex, but the film.
Now, as we enter a new level of people coming up on their LSD.
Very quickly, the one guy says, "You up for some filthy shit?" And the other guy says, "Yeah." It's like, oh.
I know, they discuss licking buttholes and everything.
Is this a P. Diddy party or something?
So as now the mood is slightly getting a bit more loosey-goosey and it's getting a bit darker, the tone in the music changes and we get a slightly darker house mix come on now.
Yeah, we've got this. We've got a sudden sort of build up that definitely going on here, especially that flashes back and forwards. It's definitely building up to something's going to happen. Well, building up to the climax, I suppose, isn't it? Really.
And we get the dancing circle now, which we talked about, which is basically a bird's eye view looking down. Everybody's taking it in turns to go crazy in this middle of this dance circle. It looks amazing. It goes on for ages, but it is one of my favourite scenes, to be honest with you. Absolutely love this. Again, I've never seen dancing look like that, only because normally you just see it from side on. To see it from above, it's a whole other thing, you know what I mean? When they're riding around, you can't tell when they're on the floor or when they're jumping in the air because you're above them. Your sense of perspective is out.
Yeah, it's good.
And it just adds to it.
Indeed. I wish it's such a simple thing, and I wish I'd done it before.
There you go, Don. You've inspired Gav to maybe go back and...
One thing I did do is I stood on a ladder and I had dancers all around me in a circle, and I span round and I turned round, twisted like I was coming down a spiral staircase, and they all danced around me as I got to it. I did do that though once.
That sounds like some kind of weird, deranged, poor man's Wicker Man.
It wasn't. It didn't come out very well though.
The tempo of the music starts to speed up now, so the BPMs are up. And we get crazier and more stranger dancing. People are a bit more erratic, almost a bit violent with their dancing. People start...
A record has changed on a turntable, and funny enough, because it's a turntable, the camera actually all of a sudden just does like a 360 turn as well, just for no reason.
And we get people now, the dancing is now a lot of writhing around on the floor, quite sexual. And this is where we get our opening credits. We're quite a way into the film now. We get our opening credits, 45 minutes into the film, and we get all of the actors' names, well, the dancers and actors' names, and all of the music and the artists, Daft Punk, etc., Mars and everybody else come up. So it's 45 minutes in.
It feels like this movie feels more like it's not a feature film. This film more like it should have been a dance piece, which is like a film. Or a dance film, do you know what I mean? It should have been more like that in a sense. It feels like it, just the way things like that choice there. It's such a style choice to have that come up, and especially all the names, different fonts and stuff of different music that's liked. It's just like, okay, it doesn't. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't feel like a regular feature. But then again, I've not watched a lot of this dude's films.
Maybe
and it might be his style.
Maybe he decided to break it up because it would be too intense if we just had all of this without any breaks.
And I appreciate that the guy is breaking the mould, doing stuff like this. You don't see it very often, so it's nice to do that. So I totally appreciate that as a filmmaker.
We get a punch POV now, and this is where we see a cup of punch filled up, and then we follow that along as it's passed between people. And we now hear people start saying, I feel a bit weird. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit strange as well. And it's really starting to kick in with everybody now. And
we kind of just have really one location for this film as well. It is one building with different rooms and corridors, but it is pretty much, kind of Reservoir Dogs as such.
And people are now asking, has anybody got any coke? Because they want a bit of a straightener. They want to sharpen up a bit because they're all starting to feel a little bit funny.
Well, one of them's starting to feel quite bad. One of them, there's a woman. One of the women are just pissing on the floor. So that's her first instinct of something's not correct. And there's one lady's walking along. And she sort of says, "Don't you want to clean it up?" And gives her a towel. Like, what are you doing? And she's like, "This is not right." And so she keeps going up to different people saying, "I don't feel correct. I think something's wrong." Eventually deciphers the fact that I think we've been spiked, and they get that round. They tell Daddy, the DJ. So it starts to be a conversation had, and they all start going, "Fuck, who's done this?" Then it turns into anarchy very quickly.
Yeah, and to highlight that everyone's now feeling wonky, the camera angles are all quite diagonal and keep flipping from side to side, giving you almost a seasick vibe. That girl pees on the floor, like you say, which is quite a strange moment, and just, I guess it happens at parties sometimes. Some of them are enjoying it. Some of them are enjoying the vibe. They've obviously used acid before, and they're loving it. They're used to it. And
some definitely, you're definitely going to get people there who are just having a great old time. Yeah.
No, because the mum of Tito is the one that prepared the punch, Selva, Sophia Boutella, approaches her and says, "What did you do? What have you spiked the drink? There's something in the sangria." and they all start to realise now that they've been spiked. And initially, they start blaming the mum of Tito, but then they're like, hang on a minute, only one person here hasn't had a drink, and that's Omar. And he's like, but I've told you I don't drink.
It's almost very much like The Mist being stuck in the supermarket, and then just the different arguments happening inside and different camps starting up and that sort of thing. And it's so easy for like a group of them to be like, you're da-da-da, then someone else comes and say, yeah, then someone else comes in and says, oh, really? And just follow the sheep. So easy for this to happen in these moments.
You've got to remember all the people in this.
And
the
they're
guys,
all fucked as well, so they can't think.
They're
clearly.
all fucked, but all of the people in this dance troupe are very strong, powerful people that can do these dances.
Oh,
so
yeah,
you've got all
dancers
these guys,
are super strong. Yeah.
You've got all the guys and all the girls who are really powerful. There's one black woman with a shaved head who looks Amazonian. She's so athletic. And the guys all grab Omar, and between them all, they blame him and they throw him out in the snow. We later find out he dies in the snow, curled up in a ball. We'll see that later on towards the end. So they've thrown him out in the snow. And then the music changes again. It gets more and more sinister.
Kids on acid.
Well, people start to get really violent and edgy, and then they look around and it's just this shot of Tito the kid dancing around, drinking away this punch that's obviously full of acid as well. And his mum, quite rightly, freaks out because she's feeling the effects. Now her little boy, who shouldn't be drinking, let alone doing acid, he's just been necking it.
Right.
So
and
she
what's
drags
the
him off.
most sensible thing for her to do, do you think, to look after him?
Lock him in a cupboard with a big electrical system in there.
Lock him in an electrical cupboard. Okay, fine with a key. There's no chance she'll lose the key, is there?
No, that's not going to happen.
Well, then that's a good thing. And then the kid's on acid, so being in an electrical cupboard locked in on acid is a good idea.
It's really harrowing the boy because we don't see it and we don't need to. We can hear him screaming, "Mummy, Mummy, I'm scared, I'm scared."
That is the only thing that gets me a little bit like the under the skin scene. Is just, I think, as each time someone passes the corridor, you hear the kid screaming out.
Yeah, mummy. Particularly when like the pregnant woman is walking by later on after being kicked in the stomach, she hears "Mummy, Mummy," and it's like almost like her psyche and the baby in her tummy is calling her. So one of the girls follows Selva to the bathroom and says, "I feel really sick." This is the pregnant girl. I think her name's Lou. And she's like, "What's wrong with you?" She's like, "I've got a secret to tell you. I'm pregnant. I don't know who the father is." And while they're having this discussion, the big tall Amazonian woman I mentioned, who's called Dom, shows up. And she says, "Well, you weren't drinking either, so it must have been you that did this." And she pushes her and knocks her on the ground and kicks her in the stomach. And she starts screaming, "Call me an ambulance, call me an ambulance, I'm pregnant." One of the girls gets bashed into a flame while she's freebasing. Someone just says, "Give me that Coke."
Well, you get with this. It sort of goes into this now where the camera makes you just drift along like it's a nightmare. So the camera then just follows one person, then someone else walks past them. The camera just reaches. I appreciate this. The camera then just gravitates that person and turns and follows that person who gets pushed to the side or whatever and set on fire, which you were just saying about, which is just like, oh, okay.
It's like she's on fire going, "Oh my God, oh my God." We find her later on in the shower trying to sort of douse her bad burns. So
that's going on. So the camera then follows her. Now a woman goes back into the main hall where we've got, I remember from the first Daft Punk album, the very first album, Homework, I think it is, there's a track on it which is just really, I always really liked it myself, but because it was kind of dark. And it's the track which is playing here when they go back in, and it's quite well suited for it, I thought. And it's just weird dancing.
It's like a scene from a zombie film because they're all sort of stood on their own, like the Shaun of the Dead zombie, sort of moaning and groaning, and some of them are really energetic, but most of them are quite lethargic. And this track is playing, and Dom tells everyone, "Lou is pregnant. She spiked our drinks." So they all gang up on her and start, abort yourself, they're saying to her. And it's fucking horrible. And so she grabs a knife and you think, what's she going to do here? And she cuts her own arm in two places. Then she cuts her face. because she's obviously tripping balls as well. And
yeah, she just kind of cuts herself a bit as well.
And then she
just
punches
kind of
herself in the stomach.
Then she starts punching herself stomach. It's I am just confused with the relationship here of why is this whole dance thing going on with all these dancers and this choreography. What has this got to do with life and death and abortion and children dying and should you have children or not have children, but life is great but death is also good, etc, etc. Why then dancers? it's a strange connection. Why not just have this as actors? And I don't know, I find it really weird, but then again that's okay, I suppose.
And you've got to remember, every time, that we're having these conversations about self-abortion and all this stuff that they're shouting at her, now and again you just hear,
the kid
Mummy, from the cupboard, I'm scared, let me out. It's fucking dark, man. The gay guy, there's a gay guy that keeps coming on to David, who doesn't want anything to do with him, although David, I think, is bisexual. He's not interested in him. So David tries it on with Selva, Sophia Boutella, and tries to kiss her, and she walks away. She lies down, and we get the muted sounds which I mentioned earlier now. So we hear the party, but from quite far away, that muted sort of like that, and people. And obviously, there's a girl who's been burnt. There's a girl who's been cut. Omar's been thrown out in the snow, and she's lying there. She goes, there's amazing acting for this scene now from Sophia Boutella. She goes out of her mind, almost like she's doing one of her dances. She flips upside down like a possessed person, and then she puts her hands down her tights, and you're like, is she going to masturbate? What is she going to do? She doesn't. She's just really hot, really itchy, really uncomfortable, and just freaking out. And she sees the wallpaper in front of her on the wall is like a forest picture, and that just sends her into this demonic laugh. She just starts laughing at it. It's just incredible acting. And then after she's had her moment, the camera follows her back into the main room, but this time it spins upside down. And she's burning up. She tries to run cold water on herself. And then she comes across the mum trying to get in the electrical cupboard, who says, I've lost the key. I've lost the fucking key. And she's like, there's loads of electrical stuff in there, and I've lost the key. And the kid's going crazy in there.
And the other woman that's come along and seen this is the one that's been sober, hasn't drank the punch. Well, might not be sober. But she's pregnant, that's why she didn't drink the punch. So she's not on acid. But so she's saying to go find the key then, you idiot, sort of thing. But she's still in pain herself. Obviously, she's got a lot of distress, obviously, with what's going on with her stomach, obviously. And then the kid in there, she must be understanding and appreciating what's happening around her. Like, I'm fucked up, but this situation here is really fucked up. This kid's fucked up. Like, what the fuck's going on? It must have been absolute, like, you're not going to come out of this the next day with a regular hangover. Coming out of this with PTSD if you make it.
This whole film reminds me of a very small scene in Dead Man's Shoes, and you know the scene I'm talking about, where they are all tripping balls on mushrooms. It's like someone took that and turned it into a really long, hellish nightmare, because that's one of the only other times where I felt what it might be like to take that much. I mean, again, I've done mushrooms in the past, but I've never done LSD or acid, which I think are probably more stronger than mushrooms. I don't even know if the mushrooms I did really did that much for me, but they made me freak out a bit, and that was it. But yeah, it reminds me of that scene, because that scene was so uncomfortable. The way that the other guys are acting with Paddy Constantine,
it's brilliant.
It's just So. Selva walks back into the main room now. Yeah,
it's lots of walking. So lots of walking around corridors with a camera following it, and I did start to find it. Then again, it just might be me, but I did find it a tad bit boring. It was just like, come on, it's like actually going to happen. It seems to be. Yeah, I know it's quite nightmarish or whatever, but it seems to be just extended, going on, and maybe that's the trip that he wants the viewer to go down.
Yeah, because it's a short film.
But it doesn't feel like it, because they drag it. It kind of really gets dragged out a bit. So I don't know.
Well, she goes back into the main dance room now, where everybody's having their individual little freak out. Some of them are still dancing. David eventually gets beaten up by 4 guys. Some of them are black guys, and they get it in their head in some way that he might be racist. So they grab a lipstick and draw a swastika on his forehead. Lots of people are half naked now. The DJ is wearing a wig. David is unconscious from getting beaten up with a swastika drawn on his head. People are writhing, moaning, screaming. And there's one girl, Dom, the tall Amazonian girl, who just keeps on drinking the punch. She keeps going back for more. She's going to be on another planet. And then the power goes out.
Which
and
means,
we know what's happened.
Yeah. And it's funny, I didn't care. It's like, Sarah went, and I was like, oh, she was, power's gone, so the kid's dead. Oh. It's just, it was a matter of time with that mum that kid was going to die, you know.
But I think their reaction to it, which is, Tito's fried, and they all start laughing and cheering, hooray! And then they're like, oh my God, we haven't got any music. But one of the guys is like, don't worry, I've got my ghetto blaster. Let me get it set up.
Oh, I did wonder. One of my notes later on, I was like, hang on, how have they got music still? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so the mum's still trying to break the door down to get to her dead fried child. And then we get Tainted Love, whoa, which comes on, which just feels dirty and dark now based on this scene. It's a bit of a dark song anyway, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that song starts playing. Selva gets taken off by one of the girls, and they end up having a little bit of a kiss and almost getting it on the bed.
There's a woman in the shower trying to wipe blood off her as well. They passed before they did.
She's the woman who got burnt.
Right.
I believe. David walks in, and his dream of two girls is like, oh great, there's Selva and this other girl are getting it on. I'll just join in with them. So they kick him out of the room, and he starts crying. The wig and the DJ in the wig, or DJ Wig, as I like to call him, starts DJ Daddy Wig. That's what I'm going to call him. Yeah. That's one of Puff Daddy's mates. He starts stumbling through the corridor, and he finds the little gay guy from earlier and comforts him. And David just keeps trying to join couples having sex, and no one wants him in their threesome. They don't want threesomes with him.
I've known people like this.
Have you?
Yeah, not trying to have sex with me.
Oh, right.
I'm at parties and be like, hey, yeah. But again, I feel this movie, it feels like, I know you're trying to make a point, so get to that point. It's such meandering, for even though you say it's not even a long movie, it just feels like it's more people's walking along, and then someone else we're going to follow them walking along, corridor walk along. Yeah.
I once was at a party, not long ago, actually, only about 5 years ago. I went into the downstairs loo to have a wee, and when I came out, there was a girl there, a girlfriend of a guy that I know, and she said, Dan, I think you and Alice are really hot. And I was like, oh my God, she must be so high. And I said, oh yeah. And she went, yeah, I was wondering if you would ever want to do a bit of a group thing. And I was like, with you? She went, well, with me and I won't say his name. And I was like, oh, you mean a foursome? And she was like, yeah. And I was like, probably not. I mean, me and Alice only got married a few months ago. Not really our bag, really. But I mean, because I was drunk and a bit wonky, I said, well, I'll speak, to get out of it, I said, I'll speak to Alice and sort of let you know.
Alice, I was down the pub earlier.
Well, apparently she then went up to Alice earlier and said the same thing. So me and Alice later on in the night were like, oh my God.
What did Alice respond with?
No, as well. We were like, no way, thank you very much. How awkward would that be?
Yeah, I did have a friend's sister. I met her didn't meet her. I was down the pub drunk, and she was there with her other half, and they're both there. I had previously had an experience with her, and a friend of mine was there as well. We were both very drunk, so essentially, I guess I kind of a threesome, but not really. Anyway, so I'm down the pub years later. It's drunk, and she's there, and might even been her husband, and just like, oh, how you doing? Like, yeah, I'm right. Then they're just like, oh, what you doing now? What you doing now? And he's like, yeah, what you up to now? And I was just like, oh, and all of a sudden I'm standing there talking to him. I'm like, oh no, she's gone and told him that she had like a kind of not really a threesome with me once upon a time, and she's now going like, oh yeah, let's get him back to our sort of thing. And he's like, yeah, come on, what are you up to? Do you want to come back to our sort of thing? And I was just like, oh no, 'cause I was really drunk. And I was like, definitely said no way. I was like, no way, no.
Funny enough, this next story involves your ex-wife, but when she came down to Bristol to see me years ago, me and her went out to a club.
Oh yeah, I think I remember.
I think you know this story. And we were dancing away, having a great time. It was like a punk pop night. And towards the end of the night, this couple sort of came up to us and said, "Oh, we've been watching you dance for the last half an hour. We'd really like you to come back to ours for more partying, if you know what we mean." And we both looked at each other like, absolutely fucking not, see you later. And we just ditched it, got in a cab and went. It's like, amazing. What the fuck?
I know, it's a weird situation.
It does happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I always remember that last scene in one of the episodes of The Office, the British Office, where Gareth is propositioned by a couple.
Oh, is he?
And then in the background, that couple are driving off on a motorbike, and you see Gareth in the sidecar. And he's like looking at the camera and like, what am I up to? He just goes off.
I don't remember that. I have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's funny. Anyway, so yeah.
Brother and sister are shagging.
Yeah, brother and sister seem to be getting it on. David tries to join in with quite a few couples, including the brother and sister.
Now, I didn't really notice that. So I was like, oh, and I was like, what happens? I was brother and sister. And I said, I didn't really figure it out because the trouble is with this film also. The problem with obviously the geography of the building, you don't really know what's what because it hasn't been marked out properly. But there's also a lot of cast. There's a lot of people in this film. It's very hard to know who's who. Very hard.
David gets beaten up again, and this is where the lights come on red now, because obviously we've got the emergency lights on because we've lost power because of poor Tito. And this is where it turns into hell, because it's red. There's horrible industrial house music playing. People are really doing their best contortionist dancing now. There's people having sex on the floor. It's like a bunch of savages going crazy. And one of the girls starts convulsing and spitting up white fluid, and her eyes are rolling back in her head. Some people are laughing at her. Other people are writhing around crying on the floor. And it's like I said earlier, it's like they're all on the ceiling now and they can't get down off the ceiling. And I guess that's to represent, for me anyway, that they're so high, they feel like they're on the ceiling and they just can't, they want to come back down and they can't. And I get that. I do totally get that. One of the guys seems to break his own arm, one of the contortionists. He bends it so much that it snaps.
Oh,
and the guy that he does it in front of goes, ah!
I didn't even notice that.
So I think he's broken or dislocated his own arm.
You probably need to watch this film a few times, I guess, to be able to clarify everything.
And David is then, I believe, killed because they smash his head back on the ground, and it seems like he's dead then with the swastika on him. And that's kind of the end, really, now, because the camera remains upside down, and then the door opens and it's daylight, and we get some cops come in with a guard dog
or security. I don't know. I didn't know if it's
and they
just
come
security
in and,
people.
They look at the aftermath, and there's just bodies everywhere. Some people are still dancing. Some of them are crying, passed out or dead. And they're going around looking at all the bodies. They find the burnt girl in the bathroom screaming.
The kid, bird's eye view of the kid lying down dead in the cupboard.
Yeah.
And then the mum dead.
She killed herself, yeah. And they he looks up and he says she's gone. And Omar, that you see Omar out in the snow, he was the first one to die, and he's just curled up in the fetal position. And I guess that brings us back to the whole birth thing.
We have death is an extraordinary experience comes up on the screen as well.
And then we get the bird's eye, then we get the brother and sister who are like, oh, we better not tell Dad about this. It's like, yeah, you better fucking not, Jesus Christ. And then we cut to a girl putting in eye drops, which we can only assume is more LSD because she was talking about her housemate doing that earlier.
Yeah.
And then it fades to white, and then the word climax comes up. Wow.
It's a film.
It is an experience. It's one of those films, and I don't want to sound arty-farty, but it's not a film, it's an experience.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like... It was definitely not a traditional film. It's not really a start, middle, and end type thing with every scene that you expect to happen. It's like you say, it's more of an experience. That's why I say it feels like more like it could be a dance video or something, you know.
But that's why I feel that's his style, because I mean, going back to Irreversible, that film obviously starts at the end and finishes at the beginning, with some brutal rape and people get their heads caved in and stuff like that, and it ends in such a lovely way. But you've got to remember, with that film, that end scene, which is so beautiful, is the beginning, and that day is going to get terrible because we watched the day backwards almost. And then Into the Void, you follow this guy who dies as a spirit, sort of going through all this drug-induced terrible stuff that's going on. And the camera work on that is incredible. And I think that's Gaspar Noé's style, is he puts you, it's almost like his version of virtual reality, but in film.
Yeah,
because you do feel like you're at this party, stumbling around, following people around from corridor to corridor, not really sticking with one character.
It's also, as myself as creative and a filmmaker, it's actually influential. It influences me into, inspires me into like trying to do some stuff. I find I really appreciate a lot of the artistry into it actually. As a film, I just didn't like the non-story. It felt like
look, cards on the table here. I knew you wouldn't like this very much. I knew you might appreciate some of it, which you do.
I do. The style,
This is my second watch. I gave it a 6 out of 10 the first time around. I'm still keeping it as a 6 out of 10 because it does move me, not in an emotional way, in a sort of, it makes me feel a certain way, which I think films should, particularly when they're trying to.
Yeah, of course.
And I think Gaspar Noé does this very well.
I agree.
This time around, I got more out of it, I guess, because I knew from the get-go that there was LSD, and I knew from the get-go I could remember some of the characters were going to die. I remembered something terrible happened with the kid. So as soon as she locked him in that cupboard, it all came flooding back to me like a bad trip. So I still give this a 6 out of 10, and I still give this a thumbs up. If you've not seen it, if you're a fan of Gaspar Noé, or you're a fan of experimental film or incredible dancing, or you just want a trippy experience, check it out. If you want something linear with a A to B plot, you're not going to really get that.
No, if you wanted something linear, which is grubby and a bit yucky, I'd say watch the original Trainspotting film for the same sort of thing at times. The same sort of plays on life and death and drug addiction and different things. And
abortion
stuff.
And everything else.
Yes, yeah. I would watch that over this again. But like Dom, I do appreciate this. Though I do appreciate the style, I do appreciate a director, a filmmaker that is doing what film should be done with film, like being able to do, like you say, just not doing the mould, just doing something different and just doing what they want to do and getting that across. And I think it's done very well. I almost wish though, like someone else came in here and said, actually, hang on, let's chuck a little bit of a story in here. Let's actually have some more scenes with Dollar. Let's have, do you know what I mean? And then actually made this more than this is. That's what I would like.
Yeah.
For this film.
No, I get that. But I do think that we wouldn't have. It's great that we've got patrons like Don who.
Yeah, we probably wouldn't have thought of doing this film actually.
Exactly. Yeah, we'd never have covered this.
No,
probably.
It's amazing for us as reviewers, because I've said this to you patrons before. There's going to be a chance Dan and I won't like the stuff that you say, so don't be upset by that. It just happens to be where it is. We can't be a good podcast if we don't say our actual truths of what we think of films. But yeah, I love the fact that we can do stuff like this because it's great. And for me, as a reviewer and a filmmaker, it's good to see all sorts of films. I have to see all sorts of films. I have to make me able to make better films and to review films better as well.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Thank you, Don. Thank you very much. Well, that's Climax. It's a thumbs up from me.
And
probably
look, it's a wavy thumb up for me. If you want, like you say, Dan, if you want to watch a film, if you know what you're going into, like Dan just said, all those things, and you want that film, this is that film for you. But
don't
if you
take
want,
acid
it's not
when you watch it, though.
Or do if you're a nihilist. But if you just want a traditional film, saying definitely don't watch this. You're not going to have a good time. It's not a fun film. Don and his family seems to feel like it's a fun film.
I can imagine the dancing and sort of reenacting.
It's Christmas
that.
Day. Come on, let's put the family Christmas movie on. I appreciate it all though, but it's a wavy thumb up for me. If you want this sort of thing, you get it. If you want something like this with a bit more story, go original Train Spotting. There you go.
Well, talking of dancing, look who's just danced their way into my living room covered in grease.
It's just disgusting. And
Bill
what is
Murray.
that between your legs? Is it a long mouse? Ferret mouse? What is it?
He is leading us into World of the Strange. He says it's going to be very kinky and perverted. So, Greasy Bill Murray, if you could lead us into World of the Strange, please.
Dripping all the way over to us. Oh, here we go.
Hi, welcome back to World of the Strange.
World of the Strange. Well, thanks, Bill.
Thanks, Bill.
He's getting grease all over my living room.
Stop dripping it everywhere.
In light of our next film, The Greasy Strangler, which is about a perverted crime spree, I thought we'd take a look at some real life perverted, kinky crime sprees. If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, of course.
Got a few of them here. I'll start off with something quite light. This happened in 1993. There was a man called Ronald who first stole, this was his first run-in with the law. He stole 3 mannequins from a department store in Detroit. They were all dressed in lingerie. He was arrested for doing that. And over the next 14 years, he was arrested 7 more times for crimes involving stealing mannequins.
Why can't he just go and buy some mannequins?
He has something called statuphilia, where he's into mannequins. I bet he loves that Kim Cattrall movie.
Yeah. Mannequin.
His last arrest was in October 2006. He smashed the window of a cleaning supply store and stole a mannequin that was dressed like a maid. He'd only been out of prison for a week.
He must have been in there going, fuck me, I need one of them mannequins.
The judge has said, I could put you away for up to 30 years, but because you've never actually hurt anyone, go away for 18 months and we'll review it in 18 months' time and see how it goes. He's going to come out and just steal another mannequin, isn't he?
Yeah.
But if he reoffends, he'll get a longer sentence. So I guess he hasn't reoffended.
Guess not.
But yeah, that's a nice light one just to start things off.
It's a weird one, though, isn't it?
Let me tell you about Edwin Toberkter from Ohio.
Okay.
He was first arrested in 2002 for having sex with an inflatable pumpkin that was part of a Halloween display.
What in the display?
Yeah, it's part of a Halloween display.
What was he doing in the display as people walk past, shoppers?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck yeah. But did you see? It was like, fuck yeah, the bow, chicka, wow, wow came on
That
just
pumpkin.
as he saw a pumpkin and his eyes lit up and he got a boner and went, I'm fucking me some inflatable pumpkin right now. Right fucking now, let's go.
6 years later, he was convicted again of public indecency for another crime that wasn't revealed to the public. But whatever it was, he got 5 years community control, which is also known as house arrest. So 5 years house arrest.
5 years house arrest. What did he do?
But then things got worse because in 2011, he stole an inflatable pink pool raft from his neighbour, took it into the alley between their houses, and started to shag it. The neighbours saw this.
You
and called the
dirty
police.
dog.
They arrested him.
I can imagine them from a window looking down at the alley and throwing boots like it's a cat screaming and it's actually this dude on this inflatable fucking bed going at it.
For some reason, the neighbour demanded the pool raft back.
Give me my
and
raft
kept
back!
it. Even though he banged it, he took it
Put
back.
it back where you found it.
But 2 years later, he stole the same pink wrap from his neighbour.
Oh
And
man,
again-
that's some justice right there.
And again, he made sweet, sweet love to it in the same alleyway. But he did it in the middle of the day while children were nearby. So again, he was arrested.
It's obviously a mental situation where all of a sudden it's like a mental breakdown where he just doesn't see clearly and it's just like, right, I need to go hump that fucking inflatable bed in an alleyway right now. So weird.
He got put away for 12 months and apparently hasn't committed any crime since. So there we go. Let's move on to a serial pooper.
It's like, what do you say in your prison? So what you in here for?
Humping inflatables.
I had sex in an inflatable bed.
And a
Raft.
pumpkin.
And a pumpkin.
So this again is in Ohio, this serial pooper. Police got reports in 2012 that someone had pooped on people's cars. Sometimes the feces was smeared on their bonnet or their hood. Other times the pooper did his business all over the door handle so they couldn't get into their cars. If they'd left their car unlocked, he'd go in and poop all over the seat. There were 19 different reports made to police over a few weeks. 19 occasions of pooping in cars and on cars. But the reports were mostly always made after the victim's car had been targeted repeatedly. So they were like, look, the first time I didn't report it to the police, but this is the third time someone shit on my door handle of my car now. One woman's car was actually shit on 6 times in a couple of weeks. Police believe there were many more incidents that weren't even reported. So in March 2015, one of the victims, who had it happen to them several times, set up a camera which would take a picture every 12 seconds. And he finally got a picture of a man with his bare buttocks crouching on the top of his car, pooping onto the hood.
So weird.
And the police are now analysing this picture to try. They still haven't caught whoever it is, but they've got enough evidence that if he does it again, they'll probably be able to start piecing together who this is. Why are you pooping on cars? Why?
It is a bit of a why, isn't it? We had that where the kids live on the wall. We jump over the wall going to the park, and there's occasionally there's a shit there. There's like a turd there, and it's an animal turd, and it's like, I'm assuming it's a fox turd. And it's quite weird. Just kept every once in a while there's a fox turd there. So why is there a fox turd on your wall? It's quite a high wall as well, right next to the house. So why is it doing there?
Pinky fox.
But apparently the other day Daisy said to me that they saw a fox up there and just did a shit and got off. So why is a fox getting up on a high wall and doing a shit and getting down? So weird.
His fox friends are like, oh my god, Freddy's fox is up there
Freddy
again,
Fox
shitting on the wall.
Shitting on a wall.
Well, I think we've covered this next one many years ago in one of our World of the Strange, but it's worth bringing up again. And this is the serial toe sucker in South Carolina. This is a guy called Joey Leffart who's got a foot fetish. And he goes up to women in public places like McDonald's, gas stations, Walmarts. And he says, please can I kiss your feet or suck your toes? And if he's got money, he offers to give them money for it. If the women say no, he just moves on. However, sometimes he would try and trick people to get their toes in his mouth.
How do you trick someone?
He told one woman in a Walmart in Georgia that he was part of America's Funniest Home Movies television show. And he says, if you pay, I'll pay for all your clothes in the store if you let me suck your toes. There's hidden cameras all around here. So she was like, oh, go on then. So he started doing it. But he said, I'm going to hide in this clothing rack. So just put your toes in there. She was like, okay. Apparently he whispered from the clothing rack, this tastes so good. And then he ran out of the store and was arrested a short time after.
Fucking hell.
It gets dark though.
Oh no.
Because he was then arrested in 2015 for sucking the toes of an 11-year-old girl.
Yeah.
He got put away for 5 years and put on the sex offender register for that one. That is crazy.
Weird, isn't it?
Imagine just being in a McDonald's, chowing down on your Big Mac, and you feel you've got flip-flops on, you've got thongs on, and you feel something. You think, why is my toe wet? And you look down, and there's just a man there going, it's just not great, is it? You're not going to enjoy your Big Mac.
No, not really.
Well, this is a great one, Gav, and this would make a great title of a film, this next one. The Butt Slasher.
Nice.
Charles Bronson.
The Butt Slasher.
So the first report that a man had slashed at the buttocks of a woman was in a Virginia shopping centre in February 2011. By August that same year, 9 women had reported that a man had slashed at their bottoms with what they thought was some kind of knife or razor or box cutter. Each time there was some kind of distraction where they'd something would be knocked over in a shop, they'd look one way, feel a pain in their bottom, and they would be bleeding. It was becoming a real problem, so the police formed a task force.
Oh my God! So basically, you're gonna have to go out there dressed as a woman, and to get possibly your bottom slashed. Don't worry though; it's like a body, like bulletproof vest. We've got you slash-proof pants.
So using images from various surveillance cameras, they were able to identify Johnny Pimentel as the slasher. He was spotted. He was later spotted in his home country of Peru. So they tracked him all the way to Peru.
Wow!
And arrested him by Interpol in 2012. Brought back to the United States, where he pleaded guilty to malicious wounding and 2 counts of unlawful wounding, and was given 20 years sentence, but only served 7 of them. That's quite dangerous, though, like slashing someone's bottom with a knife. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot of like.
But it's weird
meat.
though. It's not like you actually intend to kill them, but you obviously want the thrill.
Yeah. Bottom slashers.
Yeah.
Well, here's another headline grabber for you. The manure masturbator.
Okay.
David Truscott loves cow manure.
Okay.
Starting in 2005, this is Cornwall in the UK, by the way. So this is near me. He was in his mid-30s in 2005, and he began visiting a farm in Redruth in Cornwall. At first, he would just take some of the manure home with him. Farmer didn't think much of it. He probably just thought, you want to put it on your garden. But that didn't fulfill his burning desire. So he then was found rolling around in cow poo and smearing it all over himself while masturbating.
Oh.
He was arrested 3 times between 2005 and 2011 for this act. The people at the farm tried to stop him from coming back by cleaning all the manure as soon as the cows and the horses had done it, but this just made him angrier. He then threatened to kill everybody on the farm and said, I'm gonna do this, and then he set the farm on fire.
He needed mental help.
1 cow was killed in the fire.
Shit.
It turns out he's on the autism spectrum.
Right.
And was arrested and sentenced to 10 years in prison, where he will receive psychiatric treatment.
Yeah.
When he's released, there'll be a strict restraining order, and he'll need to stay away from every farm in the United Kingdom. Can't go to a farm ever again.
So weird, but bless him. He needed help, though. Someone needed to acknowledge that he needed help early on.
That is nuts, isn't it?
Yeah, the masturbating in the manure is just probably not the crux of the issue. That was just like a thing that he's gone with, weird thing that he's gone with.
Masturbating with cow poop.
It's a strange one. But you don't want to get that down your urethra, Franklin, do you?
You're going to get some kind of infection, aren't you?
Yeah.
I've got 2 more for you. One of them is about a DIY hairdresser.
Okay.
So the first account was New Year's Eve in 2009 in Portland. Police responded to a strange emergency call. A woman had been sat on a bus when a man had just cut off some of her hair from behind her.
Mm-hmm.
Jared Walter, not Jared Leto, was arrested. And after the news of the arrest was released and 3 other women decided to come forward and say they'd even had their hair cut by him, one of the women said he cut my hair and then poured super glue into it as well. This increased his sentence to just over 2 years. He got out of prison, and 2 months after being released, things took a darker turn. He was sat on the bus again, but instead of cutting a woman's hair, he masturbated and ejaculated into the hair of 3 different women on the bus.
So he sort of lambs them.
Spider-Man them. He then got another 2 years, straight back in, 2 more years. He was released in 2014 and was banned from using any buses in that state.
In that state? It's like, we don't want you, but I don't care if you go to another state because we won't be our problems. Go wank on those buses.
It's not our jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But that didn't stop him, Gav. 1 month after he got out of prison, again on another New Year's Eve, 2014, he was in a dollar store when he grabbed a woman and tried to cut her hair. He was arrested on the spot and is currently awaiting trial. That was back in 2014. This is an older article. So, yeah, super glue, jizz, and haircuts. Interesting.
Is that a new album name?
The last one is called The Dart Man. Darts.
Okay.
So the first assault in this strange crime spree happened in 1990 in New York City. A woman reported she'd been assaulted in a very strange manner. Somebody had shot her in the buttocks with a small homemade needle dart.
Wow.
Like a trank, like... Now, she wasn't the only victim of this man who had a blowgun. So he's blowing them like a tribal, 55 women have come forward over the course of several years saying, and they were all women who were well-dressed, business suits. So he's obviously got a thing for these women who are like dressed in certain ways on the New York subway. And they've all had blow darts shot at them and stabbed into them. So they arrested this man.
What is the dart got? It's not laced with anything, and it's just a...
Well, I think they were worried that it was. But,
yeah, exactly.
But essentially they've arrested him, Jerome his name was. He was picked out of a lineup by 3 of the women who recognised him, and he was charged with second-degree reckless endangerment and harassment. So they could only actually charge him with 3, because only 3 women could sort of identify him. He got 7 years in prison. So, again, you're in prison. Hey, mate, what did you do? Oh, it was fucking inflatables. What about you? Blow dart. That wouldn't work, actually.
No,
burst the other guys.
Those both would cancel each other out.
They would. That's like rock, paper, scissors.
It is. You dart my inflatable.
What about him down there? He just has a wank with cow shit.
Yeah.
Great.
That's not the trio you want to be stuck in a lift with.
No, the smell would be terrible.
Ugh.
And you'd be stabbed.
Yeah.
So there's your kinky crime spree list.
And humped. Yep. Wow. All right. Well, thank you. Kinky.
Well, talking of kinky, I think it's time that Bill took us out of here and we got greased up for the Greasy Strangler. Oh boy.
Oh, it's going to get greasy, I imagine.
Bullshit.
All right, bullshit artist. Right. Well, let's get a trailer for the Greasy Strangler.
Let's do it.
That's all the time we've got for this week on World of Strange. Next week, though, gimme Ira. Hairless pets. Weird.
Hey, I call bullshit on that. But you're a bullshit artist.
You're a bullshit artist. That's horseshit. You're a bullshit artist. Bullshit artist.
Am not.
Bullshit.
Are you a bullshit artist?
Bullshit.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit artist.
Bullshit. Bullshit artist.
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 Bullshit
Bullshit
artist.
artist.
Bullshit artist.
You, sir, are a horseshit artist.
I call bullshit on that.
I'm detecting the unmistakable scent of... Wait for it.
Horseshit?
No, your answer is completely wrong. The correct answer is...
What's the correct answer?
Wait.
Tell me the correct answer.
The correct answer is... Horseshit!
That's what I said, Dad.
Bullshit!
You're covered in horse shit.
Bullshit artist!
You're officially the world's biggest bullshit and horseshit artist.
Bullshit, horse shit, cat shit, tiger shit, lion shit, duck shit, walrus shit, penguin shit, king penguin shit. B-U-double-L-S-H-I-T. New word. A-R-T-I-S-T. Spells bullshit artist. I say again, bullshit artist. Bully, bully, bullshit.
The Greasy Strangler from 2016, unrated. A nice tidy 1 hour and 33 minutes. Ronnie runs a disco walking tour with his son, Braden. When a sexy woman takes the tour, it begins a competition between father and son for her love. It also signals the arrival of an oily strangler who stalks the streets at night. And this is directed by Jim Hosking. And we are joined for this one by the lovely Sarah.
Hello.
You may recognise from the High Strangeness podcast.
Yeah.
And Gab's better half as well.
Yep.
Oh.
Or equal half, if I'm being nice to Gav. Welcome, Sarah. You're here because
Thank you.
This is one of your favourite films of recent years.
It is.
And you were so excited that we were talking about it. We were like, just come on the show and talk about it with us.
Thank you. Yes, I did consider becoming a Patreon. Obviously, I love you guys, but that would have been my first pick, was the Greasy Strangler, because me, being Gav's other half, could not get him to watch it. I asked him to watch it with me, and he didn't want to watch it with me. So now he's had to watch it, and I love it so much.
So this is your first watch as well, Gav?
All the way through, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, the first time I was in a bad place, though. That was when I went through sort of depression. So I was living above the funeral parlour by myself, feeling pretty sad for myself, and I tried watching this movie, and I gave up halfway through because I was like, it's not working for me. And I don't know, it was also real greasy. Even this time round, I watched it with Sarah. It just makes me feel a bit yucky and a bit sick more than any. Sarah's best night for Sarah is fucking this and the Fly as a double bill.
Bundle Fly.
With the Fly, it's some yucky shit. I could look at that stuff better than I can look at the greasy sausages being cooked in a frying pan in this. I don't know if that's just a health thing of mine. Like, oh my god, which makes me feel sick. So this was my first viewing of it as a full featured film all the way through.
Yeah, same
funny
here.
Though, funny thing was, I was saying to you on the weekend I was with Sarah, because with Sarah and I, we don't live with each other. We're a distance apart, and we were together, and I was like, do you know what the next films are for Patreon? And you're like, I don't know what they are just yet. And I was like, that's a shame. That same day, Sarah said to me, can we watch Greasy Strangler? And I said, no, we can't.
He refused me.
I generally won't. I generally wouldn't refuse. Well, I don't know. I am quite fussy. Sarah's a lot more forgiving with my choices of films, but I wouldn't really refuse right out. But I was just like, no, I don't want to watch it. And what? And look, here we are.
No, here we are. It's amazing.
I had to fucking watch it, but. You'll see what I think about it. It came out better. The grass was greener than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was just going to be all brown.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm so glad about that.
And this was my first watch too. I've actively not avoided it. I just haven't bothered to watch it. I thought I knew what it was going to be like. So I don't often not watch a film. But everyone's been like, oh, you're either going to love it or hate it. And I thought, well, I haven't got that much time at the moment. So if I ever get around to it, I get around to it. But obviously, Don has bumped it up the list. And here we are. I've watched it now. And, cards on the table, I had a lot of fun with this. I went into it quite cynical, thinking, I thought it was going to be very similar to a show which, and I'm about to say something which is going to make some of our listeners go, what? But I don't really like the League of Gentlemen that much and some of that stuff. Like, I've watched it all, but it's not like my favourite stuff. So I thought this was going to be, and in some ways it is a bit like that.
Yeah.
But obviously it's got the American spin on it, which I wasn't expecting. For some reason I expected it to be British, and it's just is this really weirdly self-contained world of
Napoleon Dynamite,
yeah. And Sarah, you described it just before we started recording. You said someone once said it was like Napoleon Dynamite. What was it you said?
When he's grown up.
Meets Twin Peaks.
Twin Peaks. So off the bat, look, I enjoyed this, and this is going to be a fun conversation. But it's not a film I'll be going back to too often. But I would definitely watch this again.
Oh, that's great. Yay.
Sarah,
it's a Greasy win.
You must have watched this dozens of times then. Tell us why
I have.
you love this film.
It's all true. I love it. I love that it's just so weird. I love that you can get to the end of it and just be like, what the fuck did I just watch? Like, it's all so crazy. And watching it again, even though I wasn't reviewing it, I was watching it with Gav. We WhatsApp video called each other and we watched it together. And I thought it moves along at such a good pace as well. There's always something going on, there's always a scene, which was really nice. But yeah, I love it. I just think it's so great. I was a little bit late to it because I think it's 2016, isn't it?
It is,
I think I saw it in about 2020. But as soon as just every minute of the film, I love it. It's so out there. It's so weird. It is just my sense of humour. Going back to what you were saying, Dan, I love the League of Gentlemen. I think it's amazing. I watch it on a regular basis. I think it's so good. So it's just my kind of humour. I love that kind of gross, disgusting. Gav's right. Gross stuff.
It's very abstract.
It is really out there. I'm a massive fan of like the Mighty Boosh and stuff like that as well. So it is really my sense of humour. It's just crazy, weird shit for no reason or no apparent reason, so.
And that's why it surprised me that I really liked it, because I didn't think I was going to. But yeah, it's very abstract, as we say. And something that surprised me as well is the two of the producers are Ben Wheatley and Elijah Wood. But that kind of makes sense, because Elijah Wood loves weird, obscure stuff, and he's done a lot of British productions recently.
I didn't know Ben Wheatley.
And Ben Wheatley as well, who we've covered Kill List many years ago. And
because is he part of Spectre Vision? Elijah Wood's production company.
Yeah.
I don't know. But Elijah Wood's quite out there. They do sort of look and do the sort of slight odd films, don't they?
Recently, was it Come to Daddy? He did recently, where he goes home to see his dad, and there's loads of weird shit going on. It's such a mad film,
So it's only going to take only some studios that are going to make a film like this, obviously, and then getting the money to do a film like this. I think Elijah Wood, obviously, being Elijah Wood, Lord of the Rings, you just have to say Lord of the Rings, gives it clout. I think probably helps them acquire budgets for films like this because it's quite out there. It's a very niche. They know it's going to be niche when you make something like this, and it's going to be quite culty, but that doesn't necessarily say bring in money. So
no,
it's
the
interesting.
guy's first film as well.
Oh wow! Fucking it.
Yeah,
there must be a short film.
So.
There must be a short film he did before.
Yeah, I think he did do a short film first, and they did this one.
Okay,
and then I think the next one was the one that I watched the other night, which was an evening with Beverly Loughlin.
Oh yeah.
I think it's called which is great as well. I recommend that. It is good.
And this sort of film. Oh, sorry, Gav.
I was just going to say very quickly. I think with this film, it's the casting has to be correct. And Michael St. Michaels is our lead.
He's amazing.
Okay,
he was John Travolta's hairdresser.
let's just for a moment. Is that his real name, or his parents were there one day and went, so he called St. Michaels? What should we call him? Should we call him Mike? What? Michael St. Michaels? Yeah, fuck it. Makes him grow into who the Greasy Strangler is. The perfect fitting.
I went to school with a boy called Scott.
Oh, no way.
An American boy, joined our school for like half a year.
Scott.
And then moved on. Scott.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Oh, my God.
I don't know.
Lazy.
But,
super lazy.
Lazy naming.
One thing I wanted to say as well is, going back to what you said about pacing, Sarah, before we jump into it, this also has a blueprint. The reason we love it, I think, and like it, is it has a blueprint of the slasher movies, and that's tied in with the pacing, because stuff happens and then there's a kill. Stuff happens and then there's a kill.
It's
all
the same formula.
That you get a little backstory on each of them, just like you would with Friday the 13th. Not enough to go down rabbit holes, just enough that you find out a little bit about them, then they're killed off. And I like that. I like that works. It keeps it moving.
Yeah, definitely.
But you find out with this film's kind of like you watch it, you actually kind of forget the whole fact that there's a Greasy Strangler, because you're so like, the fuck? And you kind of go into this dirty, brown, musty world, and of all yellow or whatever it is, all mustard, and you just don't. You say like that. Then all of a sudden, there's just the Greasy Strangler, just this basically our lead covered in a greasy slop of paste type stuff, going around strangling people. But you kind of forget that, so when it comes up, it isn't as like, oh fuck, it's the killer, or do you know what I mean? It's not a standard film. You're just like, it just kind of just absorbs like the grease does into the other scenes and such. But you're so in there with the first thing, it's not the grease. Do you know what I mean? For me, it's not.
I think because
you don't look at it as a horror.
Each scene is so weird.
Yeah,
I think it all kind of.
It's just a weird thing.
All the scenes are a surprise, I think, rather than that being like normal life and then a surprise of the killer.
Have you guys?
It's normal for them, I know, but every scene is weird. It comes up, so it's all like, what the fuck?
Have you guys ever seen Welcome to Whoop Whoop?
No.
Right, we watch Welcome to Whoop Whoop. It's an American dude, and he gets he's fleeing some gangsters, owes some money to, and he goes to Australia, meets up with a woman of great fame, shags her, and then she knocks him out and takes her to this little village where her dad runs the village, and it's in the middle of fucking Whoop Whoop, mate. Where the fuck do you think you're going? And it's all just real like they've made their own little place in the middle of Australia, and he's stuck there and he can't get out. We have to watch it.
Oh my god!
And they eat fried up breakfast. They eat fried up breakfast in a pint glass.
Oh my god!
Well, this film also ticks another.
It's a bit like this. It feels.
This film also ticks another podcast on Haunted Hill Bingo Square, because it's been a while since I've been able to say this, but Old Man Cock.
Oh my god!
Come on, Sarah.
Boy, oh boy,
it's so big.
Sarah, come on, say Old Man Cock.
Old Man Cock.
Right, episode 1. We've been repping the Old Man Cock.
Yeah,
Big one is Old Man Cock.
There's even a micro penis in this, which I don't see in a film.
Poor son, if that's his son, like, surely he should be endowed with this pointed weasel penis like his dad, rather than just the little.
It's like a massive penis. Mouse's head.
It's so weird and pointed, like his dad's massive, long, pointed, weird dick. Why is it pointed?
Oh god!
Anyway,
let's talk. So many good scenes with that dick.
Let's get into the film, Daniel. Sarah.
Let's get into it, shall we?
Come on then, let's get Greasy.
Okay, so just to set the scene, we've got the two main characters are Big Ronnie and Big Braden. Ronnie, the dad, Braden, the son. And then there's a bunch of other characters throughout, some tourists. Big Paul, who is the blind guy who runs the car wash. Janet, the girlfriend that they're fighting over, and a couple of other people in there as well. There's even a character called Oinker. There's no explanation for why he wears a pig's nose. He doesn't have a nose underneath it, but we'll get to him.
He's got some fancy shoes, though.
He has. Those are pretty fancy shoes.
And before we get into it, I just love the fact that I was thinking about it then. It's like, nah, but I would possibly do something like that myself. Disco tour to make money for a job. And then I was like, nah, Gav, you would probably, if you knew disco spots, you might well do a disco tour. Sarah, would I do a disco tour?
I could imagine you. When we were watching it, I was like, I can imagine you in some of those clothes as well, like that little pink short set.
Dan. Me and you, fancy. Man. Me and you, dude. We could do the disco tours.
This is where the Bee Gees wrote "Staying Alive."
And all pink shorts and pink tops. Fucking their choice as well. Pink, like.
Yeah, this film has a look, doesn't it? A colour palette
definitely.
And a look,
the clothes are a choice.
There's no sort of sense of when it's set or anything really. It is very unique, and that's what makes it stand out.
We've got this sort of old house, haven't we? And we start off with this guy in bed, and another guy comes in. It's just both our lead actors. And he kind of, in his pants with his belly sticking out, with a cup of tea for his dad who's asleep in bed. And it kind of feels a bit like Nicolas Cage standing there in his pants. It could very easily be Nicolas Cage.
I can imagine him doing this sort of role.
Absolutely, 100%. Yeah. So, I thought that straight away, but...
Well, he brings his dad a coffee in bed, and like you said, they're all pretty much just in their underwear. And it's just a very disgusting house. And there are elements all the way through this of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre family, because they live in this scummy, disgusting world where they just do disgusting things. Not to the same level almost as the Texas Chainsaw, the Sawyer family, but they still, well, apart from the dad killing people, but they are still really weird and dirty, and to them that's just normal. And
he's bringing him a cup of coffee, isn't he?
And he says
he's not happy, is he?
Go on.
Well, he ain't got enough grease in it. I've got coffee now.
There's grease in my coffee.
I've got no grease. I'm just checking. And he's just not happy. He ain't got enough grease in his coffee. So straight away, it's a bit like, what do you mean? What do you mean grease in your coffee? At what point, though, did he get to the point where he's like, accidentally did grease fall into something? And he went, that's really nice. And get into it's like, where did this come from? You almost need a backstory, but no backstory. Straight away, there's a love of grease.
We're pretty much told. We're pretty much told from this scene because who the Greasy Strangler is, because he says to his son. His son says, "You want grease in everything, Dad. I've told you. People like a milky coffee. They don't like a greasy coffee. You want grease on everything." And he says, "You probably think I'm the Greasy Strangler, don't you?" "Well, I'm not." And he says, "Well, I am. Bullshit artist." And we get this backwards and forwards, which comes up multiple times, where they call each other bullshit artist. Bullshit artist. And it goes on. And it almost too long, but it's funny.
Throughout this, you have got that almost Family Guy where, like, keep a joke going for a long, long, long time. And there's one bit...
Almost too long.
There's the bit with the poto comes up, which is very Monty Python. But we'll get to that.
So... His dad says, "I'm not the Greasy Strangler," because you got it. Blah, blah, blah. So they get ready.
I love the title inside the building.
I think it's straight on the side.
It's so simple, but I've always loved shit like that.
And we get our first taste of the score for this film, which is this nightmare-induced high-speed voice singing. I don't know. It's singing about like, "Have you seen my butter? Where's my butter and my grease?" But it's sped up like Alvin and the Chipmunks, played with like electronic.
I don't know. As a composer myself, I don't know when you get the assignment, you look at it and go, okay, like how did they come up with that score? It's just, I don't know, it's so out there. And then it gets these high-pitched voices, and it's almost like, at one point, it's like a Chipmunks, really dark Chipmunk song at some stage. It's like, what is going on with this? It just makes this a signature for this film. It's just everything about it just makes this film the cult. Why this film would be a cult is a cult, whatever.
Yeah, it's like
another layer of it.
Self-contained, isn't it?
The
Self-contained
composed
weirdness.
Yeah.
Some of this stuff reminds me of early Taika Waititi movies before he got Hollywood, when he was making his movies in New Zealand, even before What We Do in the Shadows, where he had strange music playing and, you know, very odd characters and that kind of stuff. And there's an element even of that era of Hollywood comedies like Superbad, where you had these strange characters doing and saying strange things for no reason. But this just takes it to that Napoleon Dynamite level and then way beyond that.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a greasy version of the Hollywood, though.
Greasy
This
Hollywood.
is when you get to Hollywood, they're like, don't go down there. Why? That's the greasy area. Don't go
So
down
we know
there.
now. We know now they're father and son, and then we cut to them on their day at work.
Let's not cut to them.
Oh God!
Oh no! We can cut to them. Carry on.
They're giving their disco tour. So their job is they get paid by tourists to be shown around various spots where apparently disco artists wrote or came up with ideas for songs, or important things in their life happened, you know, the first time somebody's met somebody or whatever, you know, and they're showing these tourists around in their
Disco
weird
fact.
outfits.
Side disco fact. I don't ever do side disco facts. Do you know how the song Freak Out came about?
Somebody having a freak out?
The guys who were doing it were trying to get into Studio 54 and they wouldn't let them in because they weren't attractive enough or whatever. So they went, fuck off! And they went off to fuck off! And they went back home and wrote Freak Out. Yeah.
Wow.
Really?
Disco facts with Gav.
So you could do
Disco
a disco
facts with
tour.
Gav.
You could do it. A few more of them, you'll be away.
Every
Oh,
time.
yours.
So the running theme will be every time we see them giving a tour, they'll give a different series of facts about an artist. And this first group, they're talking about the Bee Gees, but they are questioned by the tourists. There's an Indian tourist, a Senegalese tourist, and a Scandinavian tourist. And they're saying,
The three wise men, these guys, man, if you're ever in trouble, hopefully it's them. If you're ever stuck in a lift, hopefully it's them guys. You know?
and they're saying, "What can you confirm? How do you prove that the Bee Gees came up with Staying Alive in this doorway?" You know, and they're really pushing it. And then one of them says, "We were told on the flyer that there's free drinks on this."
And they just
tour.
basically really want to get their money's worth. Prove to me that your disco fact is correct. You don't do that. Me and Sarah, we did Jack the Ripper tour. I didn't at any point go, prove to me that this
We
person
didn't
was
ask
killed
for
here.
confirmation, did we?
We didn't need to do
We
that.
trusted that lady.
We trusted that the person was slaughtered there, where we stood.
Well, we get our first extended joke now, which does work, because they say, "We want our free drinks," and he says, "Stop it with the free drinks crap." And you get a backwards and forwards of free drinks. There are no free drinks. Free drinks. Then they all start chanting
Very Family
free drinks,
Guy
free drinks.
extended
And
joke.
then-
Yeah.
And then he calls them all cunts, and they all say, "We're going. We're done with this tour."
We do see this lovely trio again in a bit, though.
We do.
I'm
we
gutted
do,
they die so soon. I would rather have those guys throughout the film, actually.
There is a lone lady on the tour as well called Janet. Now, she is one of our main cast, because she comes back up to Braden, the son, and they start having a bit of a flirt, don't they?
Before this has
They do.
happened, before he sends them off by saying cunt, well, it's just after cunt, he turns around and just shows him their old man arse.
He tells him to
really-
check his cheeks.
And I didn't look. I've got bits here where I go, I didn't look. There's bits at times, there's
Michael-
times I don't
I
look.
braved it.
Michael St. Michael said his only criticism of this film is that they held the shot of his mooning for too long. He felt his arse hole was on display for just a little bit too long,
He
because
was
they do hold it
exposed.
for quite a while. And it doesn't look very clean. Obviously they would have put makeup on it, but it looks like he hasn't wiped properly either. It's just not a great
God,
butt.
I didn't look that detail. I was just like, there's some saggy man cheeks. I was like, I'm not looking.
But this is the start of Braden and Janet's relationship, because there is some flirting going on here, and she calls him a cornball, and he's like, "Yeah, I guess I am a cheesy old cornball." He's got he's got some moves with the ladies. He's got some some lines to lay down. So we go home now. And at home, Gav will be pleased that we're frying up some big, fat, greasy sausages now, aren't we?
In our pants.
They're in their pants.
Just before that, we had the synth score, because there's quite a lot of symphony instrumentations of the music, and the film theme, which is a bam, 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 bam. Bam, 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 bam. That is. I sound like Family Guy. I sound like Peter, didn't I? That is the actual sort of theme we get reoccurring through it, which is an odd theme. But yes, we're in a pan of sausages right now, sizzling away in a pool of grease, which I didn't look at.
He says to make these sausages as greasy as you made that Thanksgiving dinner a couple of years ago.
And I was there saying to Sarah, said, like, I can watch the worst horror, I can watch the hardest horror, I can watch Serbian film, it's not a problem. The baby scene I don't like, but I can watch that no problem. I don't want to see this pan of grease. I can't do it.
And Braden announces to his dad at this point,
"Yeah,
I've got a date.
She likes me, Dad.
With a lady. She likes me." And he says,
me.
"You're a bullshit artist." And we get the backwards and forwards again of the bullshit artist.
Interestingly, this film... Sorry, carry on.
No.
Interesting, this film, it's a theme we've not seen that often at all, which, if you want to put a serious spin on this, it's about a man, a dad, and his son meeting someone else, and his son leaving him, and the dad being alone. You see that with the other way around, you see that.
Yeah.
With
Psycho,
a woman and
else.
a son or daughter. But you don't generally see it as a man, because I guess it's acquainted that a man, man, tough, they don't need that sort of stuff. Oh, we do. We are sensitive. We do need our little munchkins, even if they're big, long-haired, greasy weirdos in mustard clothing. And it's an interesting theme that we don't see often. I found that quite interesting. I'll say interesting again.
Yeah, because
interesting.
In amongst all the comedy and the silliness of this scene, his dad's anger does tell us as an audience he's worried that his son's going to leave him. Someone's going to take him, or, this is somebody who could potentially get in the way of his son living with him and serving him greasy sausages all the time. So he doesn't want his son to leave him, and he eats the greasy sausages, and yeah, that's fine.
Now we got
the tourists, guys.
Poto. This is brilliant. These guys are basically they are on holiday. I'm presuming those dudes are touring the USA or some shit, because they're together at a hotel, all at the same vending machine.
One of them is Senegalese, one is Scandinavian, one of them is Indian,
but
and they're just
at some point go, should we go?
Random group.
But you do that at youth hostels. You meet up with other people and you end up going off and doing things. It happens. So maybe so they're at the vending machine as moaning about things and just chatting about stuff, and it's this bit. They're speaking about potato chips and what they're made of, basically. And one of the guy, he's saying potato, but he says poto. So you have the guy say, "What? Poto? Can you repeat that? Poto." And this goes on and on and on and on and on. It's very Monty Python.
About 30 times.
It's very Monty Python. And I was, to be honest, I was happy with it. Sometimes the Family Guy ones, you're like, oh, yeah, okay, we get it, it's funny, yeah. But this, I was quite happy because I was enjoying the word poto. I quite like that. So I was happy with this.
I think there's something about those characters as well, like they're each, even though you only see them at the tour and then you see them obviously outside the motel, I think there's something about them, like that Asian guy, I just love him, his over explanation of the potato chips as well, and why he wanted those particular ones.
Because they're paprika flavour.
Yeah, and he goes on explaining all about it, and obviously you're going to get to it, but his murder as well, he's kind of over explaining all that kind of stuff when he's trying to reason with the Greasy Strangler. It's just so funny, I think they're all little characters on their own, aren't they? Even though you don't really see them that much, you can still be like, oh.
Because then the Scandinavian guy...
Less is more with those guys, absolutely.
Yeah.
Scandinavian guy just says, look, he's saying the word potato.
Yeah, he just says it to him. Look, he's saying potato.
Like,
but he let him do that. Like, after the fifth time of saying potato,
Yeah.
he didn't say, look, dude, he's saying potato, like, what the fuck? I was enjoying it for a moment, but he just goes with it. And it's just like, but it's kind of this film. This film is very much just go with it film. And then they see the Greasy Strangler just comes along, so they say, is that
There's
the
the
Boogie
Boogie
Woogie? I love the set of the Boogie. I want to make a movie now called The Boogie Woogie, and it's basically a disco monster.
Oh.
Isn't that the name of the character in A Nightmare Before Christmas? Is he called the Boogie Woogie?
Oh, yeah.
Oogie Boogie.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Oogie Boogie.
All right, so we can still make the Boogie Woogie.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, let's describe this figure that approaches them. So it's obviously Michael St. Michael, Big Ronnie, but he's about 6 foot, maybe a bit shorter, and he is fully pasted up. It's not even grease. It's like,
I think in the film, like to make it, they use tapioca pudding.
oh, I hate tapioca.
He just stumbles out of the darkness, and it's just like, what the fuck?
And he doesn't speak, does he? He just goes, oh.
Yeah, he grabs one guy, fucking throws him to the floor. Oh no, smashes his head into the vending machine. Then the other guy, he just implants and his face turns into a bowl dome shape inwards. His whole face. It's really good effects. I really enjoyed that.
And then he strangles the Indian guy.
He just follows him along. Well, that Indian guy's trying to get away from his death by
He's
saying
really
to him,
over-explaining it.
do you want to join?
I'm a nice gentleman.
Do you want to join my timeshare? You can do. We could actually make good money from this.
Well,
as he's walking,
he offers to make him a director of his company, doesn't he?
as he's walking backwards, like about to be
and then
killed.
He says, I do have a lady in my room, and we were making love earlier. And you know, I think I really like her. Yeah, I couldn't get a stiffy. Does that happen?
My balls went
common?
up inside my abdomen.
Why does
all of this
why is he
as he
telling him
slowly?
this? It's like he
reaches
just
for his
can't
throat.
stop talking. He has to speak.
Yeah.
And that's something that happens with a lot of characters in this. Their deaths go on for quite a while because in films, the characters generally die quite quickly. But in this film, quite a lot of the characters, you know, is this it? Am I dying?
Yeah.
Oh my God. There's a character later on. Yeah. Oh my God, it feels fantastic. One of the guys says, which is like, okay, Michael Hutchins.
Oh, when he's getting strangled.
Yeah.
That's the hot dogs vendor.
No, it's Oinker.
Oh yeah, it's Oinker.
Oinker's definitely got some perversion going on.
Something we keep seeing is a static shot of a car wash, and it's just Big Ronnie just standing there naked going, and we just have that every time it's happened, the killer, because that's how he gets cleaned. But it's okay because the person that owns the car wash is blind, and is like kind of some old school blind disco dude, and he's like, "Is that you, Big Ronnie?" And he's just like unaware that he's standing there naked, and he's the Greasy Strangler. And he gives him fake money. He gives him just money he's made up.
Well, they have these conversations every time because every murder he commits.
Oh, and we saw the pointing dick for the first time.
Oh yeah, that's right. We saw his big long dick. Every murder he commits, he then goes to the car wash and gets clean. But obviously, Big Paul just thinks he's washing his car again. So they have these conversations like, "Your car must have been greasy. Were you driving through some oily puddles this time?" And he's like, "Yeah,
he's been driving
my car
some
was
greasy roads."
He doesn't realise he's just been stood there butt naked. Gav, it's interesting you said about the money. I actually think that is just the money in this world because later on he pays the hot dog vendor in that type of money as well. And any money you see is just this weird fake money. But
I think so. It's not placing it anywhere. It's just like an autonomous place.
But Sarah, where does he keep the
money? It's an interesting touch.
Butt crack. For sure. Butt crack. Definitely.
I didn't think about
pulls
that.
Pulls it out of his butt crack, slaps it in Big Paul's hands.
So
says, "Thanks very much."
Oh, I didn't realise that. So we got the next morning again. We got the son with the coffee, and he's got a massive boner in bed.
Well, just before that, he says, "See you later, Big Paul." And Big Paul says, "Hey, we should go disco dancing again sometime. It's been a while." And he says, "Well, the problem is my son's a manic depressant. He craps in his bed. He craps all over the house. Even crapped on the TV once. Oh, I can't leave him for too long. This is the trouble, you know. He's just insane." And Big Paul's like, "All right, no worries." So it's kind of like putting off going disco dancing because of his son, he says. So he's spreading the word to everybody. My son craps everywhere. He's a manic depressant. But yes, morning, Gav.
Morning, boner.
Wow.
But it's like in the morning, Gav. Morning, boner. How you doing?
Yeah.
He's got a massive bone. His son's got a cup of coffee, so it's the same. So this is a daily routine, basically.
Yeah, he's bringing in this coffee, and he must have seen his dad's boner before and thought, why have I got this micro penis?
Yeah, well, we don't know that yet. This is where we get the guilt trip being put on, like, you're going to leave me and run off with her and all this shit.
Mm-mm. Yeah, and he starts to cry, or pretend to cry, doesn't he, Dad?
Like, goes back on his bed, pulls his legs back and just shows his arsehole and shit again. Again, I didn't look.
That's the world's biggest cheese.
I was like, no, and looked away. So I'm not watching this shit. Don't need this in my life.
It's like laughing.
It's like Sarah and I were watching a movie one time, and it had a horse's vagina.
Oh my God! We still haven't watched that film.
So what the fuck is this?
We both immediately scrambled to turn it off.
It's like, oh my God! It was just the worst thing, and I couldn't get out my head for like 3 days. It was horrible.
That put us both off everything, didn't it? We're like, just get that off. Get that off.
What was the movie?
Was it The Beast?
Yeah, The Beast.
That film, like
a big monster,
kind of like a modern
woman.
day Beauty and the Beast type situation for grown-ups.
Jesus,
French or something, I don't know.
Do you remember when I recommended that film about that island where the guy fucks a goat in the bushes?
Oh, I think I watched that. What was it called?
You both watched it because I recommended it to you both.
Yeah.
I can't remember what it's called now. Death Island or something like that.
Oh yeah, we watched it.
Good.
That's a really good film.
Yeah, I just didn't expect them to go in the bushes and start fucking a goat.
Oh my God.
Yeah, you don't see it.
Not the worst I've seen.
You didn't see it, no. I think. Yeah.
Well,
fine.
This scene ends with them both laughing after the big fight. And he says, "Don't worry, Dad. I'll never leave you. I could never leave you, could I?" And so he's trapped, isn't he? His son is trapped. And that morning he cooks a really greasy breakfast, and it is just perfect for Daddy. He loves the greasy breakfast. And we're on another tour. And this time the subject is Kool and the Gang. And he's explaining some trivia about Kool and the Gang to these tourists. And Janet shows up, sexy Janet shows up, to discuss their date. But where they're going to get her braided again.
Is that what you think, is it?
Yeah. Yeah. In real life, have you seen what she's like in real life?
She's really pretty.
Yeah. It's crazy, really. They just said to her, I must say,
her hair looks like a bunch of flowers.
Her and all the actors in this don't give a shit. They just go for it because they're butt naked all the time.
Yeah,
you know, and obviously it's prosthetic penises. But
I love her massive muff as well. It's so funny. Yeah, her muff's huge.
Massive bush.
When she's walking away from her dad, isn't she? At this point, we're here, and it's like he imagines her naked, and she just looks back at him and stuff.
Yeah, he says to himself, "I could feast on that queen's ass for days."
No, I could feast on that ass all night.
He's now thinking about, maybe I'll steal this woman off my son. Firstly, because I'm attracted to her, but secondly, because then he won't leave me. So
basically, he's a cunt, isn't he? He is a bit of a cunt, Dad.
Well, he's a murderer as well. Date night.
But it's like a werewolf, though, isn't it? The moon comes out for him. It's when he's consumed a massive amount of grease.
Then he just gets lathered up.
Just turns into the Greasy Strangler, which is weird. When did this first happen? If you bite someone else, do they also, after grease consumption, become the Strangler? You know.
I don't know. I think they've just got to go and get in the vat of grease, haven't they?
Oh yeah, because
just
the son
have the will. Just have the will to do it and go and get in the grease.
His dad must have discovered this just because of his love of grease.
Yeah.
Not the John Travolta film, although John Travolta gets brought up later on. So in the restaurant, we get a little bit of backstory here because it's their date and they're sort of flirting with each other and in their own way, they're being charming with each other.
Ricky Prickles.
Yes. So Janet asks him about his mum and he gets a little bit sad and says, "Look, my mum left my dad for a man called Ricky Prickles. He's got an incredible six-pack and, you know,
goes off on one. Yeah, go on.
He molested me when I was 18.
No, he goes off saying that he molested me. Then he says, "I was 18." It's like because it seems like he's saying he's a lot younger, is what he's saying. And then it says, "I was 18." Like, oh, okay.
And he describes his physique. He's really muscular.
And he made me
just
do
everything a man
abdominal
wants to be.
crunches, and it made me be sick because I'm not very good at abdominal crunches. And it's just like, what the fuck is coming out of your mouth?
His stick was all orange and fizzy.
And then he punched me because I threw up.
Ricky Prickles. Then he sexiness biting into that sausage.
Yeah,
he
sexy.
He does. Normally it'd be a woman doing this, but he picks the sausage up and sort of looks at her like, and she's like, "Oh, you old cornball." And she then says, "Oh, by the way, got some news for you, Braden. Did you know that those 3 tourists from the other day have been murdered?" And he says, "What?" And she says, "Yeah, they were all dead and killed outside their motel." And he's like, "Oh, okay, maybe it was the Greasy Strangler. Interesting." That's the end of their date. And we are now at the hot dog vendor.
This dude, this guy, where did they get this guy for the hot dog vendor? Again, ideal casting.
I could lose my license.
It's just the way it's just like, right, we want you to overact and chew the shit out the scenery, like overact this stuff, like over the top.
So good. He's such a perfect hot dog vendor.
Not enthusiastic. With my actions, man, I can't, man. Like,
I repeat, I could lose my license.
Yeah, it's
so funny.
It's so kind of wooden in a brilliantly unwooden way.
So Big Ronnie basically,
he's like a cartoon character.
As you'd expect, he complains to this hot dog vendor that the hot dog isn't greasy enough. And he says, dip it all the way in. And he's like, "I can't do that. It's dangerous.
Ronnie needs some
I'll
grease.
lose my license." And Ronnie's like, "I'll do it myself." And he pushes him out the way. And he says, "Big Ronnie's going to dip it all the way in." And he dips his dog right in the grease.
All the way in.
And then he says, "That is just oily enough for me now." And he munches on it.
It's just this hot dog completely full of grease in the grease trap. Oh.
And the poor hot dog vendor's just like left stunned. Like, he's worried about his license.
He is.
It's not good. So Braden brings Janet home, back to his house after the date, and takes her into his bedroom. Explains to her, "This is very Napoleon Dynamite now. I want to be a fantasy writer." he shows her all these sort of like, I don't know, you've got like the Rasta spaceman, and you've got all these sort of different characters that he's created, really childlike drawings and stuff. But she's like really into it, like, "Wow, this is great." And she flashes her boobs to him. He's like, "Oh," and he tries to lick them, suck them, but he does something. She says, "I didn't say you could do that yet." So she's a real lady, she's not that easy straight away.
It's the way she just exposes them, though, and just sits there. Just be like, you can't do anything about them. There's just tits there.
Just have a look. And while that's going on, we cut back to Dad, who's eating a hot dog on a bench.
With a really odd synth song playing, yeah.
And then
I love his knitted suits as well. His top and trousers are all knitted and like.
Well, there's one outfit
so
we're going to
weird.
get to soon, which is just.
Oh yeah, that's incredible.
I've never seen anything like it. Never seen chaps used quite like that before. So he then greases up, and because he's pissed off with that hot dog vendor.
Yeah.
He goes and kills the hot dog vendor who's in his little camper van.
He's in a camper van with a big window right behind him open, taking his shit. And Greasy Strangler comes along and just gets him from behind.
Did you see what the hot dog stall was called, though?
No, what was it called?
Doggy Style.
Oh, come on. How did I not see that? That's so good.
You see it in the bit where they're holding like a little vigil. His family are holding a little vigil for him at the hot dog stall, and they're both standing with candles. I saw it then. Got Doggy Style written on the side of it.
Love that. Maybe he listens to quite a lot of Snoop Dogg as well. Maybe.
I was going to say that, yeah.
Yeah, and so he's strangled, as you say, Gav. And what happens to his eyes, Sarah?
They pop right out of his head.
Right out of his fucking head. And which
and
he then
cooks them up with grease and eats them.
He batters them up in some lovely greasy batter and crunches on them. That was quite sickly when he bit into the eyeball, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not very nice.
So he's a slight cannibal then, this Greasy.
Yeah.
Because he does this.
It's changed the serial killer into now a cannibal. Yes, it has.
Yeah.
And as is the pattern, he then goes to see Big Paul in the car wash and gets clean again. And he says, this is where he sort of questions him. This is the second time you've been in this week. You must be driving through some really greasy, oily roads. And he says, I know what you're thinking, Big Paul. You probably think I'm the Greasy Strangler, don't you? But I'm not. I'm not the Greasy Strangler. And Big Paul's like, what the fuck?
I'm going to go for a car wash tomorrow, actually. I'll think of this.
Oh, do.
What, just you are
thinking that
just
old man cock.
naked?
No, I'll be with Elijah for a start. It'll just be me and him going for the car wash. My car's all sticky and greasy, so I need to give it a good scrubbing.
Are you the Greasy Strangler?
I am. I won't deny it. I've got a real long pointed dick.
Wow.
When I was very young, I once had a blowjob in a car wash.
In a car?
In a car?
We were in a car, of course.
Okay, cool.
I'm not the only person. Thank you, Sarah, for backing me up on this. Thank you. So,
No, my
explain
mind went
that
to the
more.
brushes. I was like, danger.
My girlfriend at the time thought it would be dangerous fun because you only get like 2 minutes or 3 minutes when you're in there.
Yeah,
go.
I was like, go. There we go. Yeah, so he said, I never said you were the Greasy Strangler. And that's the end of their conversation. And now we meet Braden's best friend, Oinker.
Oh.
This is like a fever dream I'm describing.
It's fucking weird. It's just like, okay, you just go with it because you have to.
Yeah.
So he's got a little cardboard pig nose that he wears on his face. And later on, if we find out he doesn't have a nose, we'd never know the backstory about that. But he doesn't have a nose. But he wears a little cardboard pig nose, which is why everyone calls him Oinker. And he's dressed up in a very fancy outfit. And he meets Braden and Big Ronnie. And Big Ronnie says, those are very fancy shoes you've got there, Oinker. And they all go, wee, wee, wee. And
he's renting them.
Yeah, I'm renting these shoes.
Little party shoes.
I'm renting these shoes. And he says to Braden, are you still ready to go to the House of Horror tonight with me? Braden's like, of course. Yeah, it's our little thing that we do as best friends. And Big Ronnie's like, I'll be joining you tonight. Okay. And he's like, no, Dad, this is our thing. We do this. And he says, if you don't let me come along with you, I'm going to evict you. So he threatens his son with eviction if he doesn't let him come along to the House of Horrors with him.
He does that quite a few times as well.
He does threaten the eviction quite a few times.
One of the horror movies is In Bed with Mama. I didn't catch the name of the other one.
I think it was Cold Banana.
Okay.
I think it was Cold Banana. The other one, In Bed with Mummy.
Oh, and the popcorn, the grease in the popcorn.
Oh, God.
Of course, he complains the popcorn isn't greasy enough, so he goes behind the counter and pours loads of grease in it. They all seem to be enjoying it, though. They steal the grease from the hot dog vendor, don't they?
Yeah.
Who, as you said earlier, Sarah, his family are holding a little candlelight vigil because their dad was murdered whilst taking a shit, and now they're sort of standing at doggy-style vending cart and thinking about their dad, and then someone steals his grease.
Yeah.
Strangled on the shitter. Imagine that. There's some ways to go, but it's not a great one.
It's not. You wouldn't want it, would you, for your end?
No.
Cut to the next day, and he says, Dad, Janet is coming over today, okay? She's coming over to cook dinner. We're having baguettes. And if you don't know what baguettes are, Dad, they're toasted French long bread. And he's like, I know what baguettes are. And they have these like little backwards and forwards. And they all sit down and have dinner. And I think, is this where, Sarah, where he first says, look, just try not to be too much of a smoothie with her, Dad, because I know what you're like.
No, I don't think it's here, is it? I think she comes over for dinner and they eat baguettes. Is this where Big Ronnie says to her, I've been making my own olive oil?
Yeah.
I've been making my own olive oil in my room. And then I think after Janet's been once or twice, I think Big Ronnie says he needs to take her out for a date, doesn't he, when they're on one of their walking tours? Right. I think maybe after this. And then he says he needs to take her out and make sure she's going to be okay for him.
Well, we get our sex scene now, first proper sex scene.
Well, after Big Ronnie's licks of the baguette, yeah. Sex
They
scene.
go up-
It's just him lying there with her on top, and him because he's a virgin, and obviously we find out later he's got a very micro penis, but he's there just the whole time saying, "Am I doing it right, Janet? Am I doing it right, Janet? Am I doing it right, Janet?"
I love that scene so much.
Oh my god,
it's so funny.
And she's just riding away, isn't she?
she's just like, you don't worry about it. There's no way her arms are... She ain't Mr. Tickle. There's no way her arms are long enough that she's getting a finger up his arse. I'm assuring that. But
Well,
she
she
somehow
reaches
does.
back.
She gets back then, doesn't she?
Now, talking of this, quick side note: Sacha Baron Cohen. He's in trouble. Another one.
Oh no!
What's he done?
He apparently on the set of one of the films he was with Rebel Wilson. He said to her, why don't you stick your finger up my ass in this scene? She was like, it's not in the script. And he's like, no, really, stick your finger up my butt in this scene. It'll be brilliant.
Oh, wow.
And so she's got him up on sexual assault charges now, and other women are now starting to come forward.
Oh, God. I know Jared Leto's in trouble, isn't he?
Look,
I
don't
think
bring
he's
up
being
Skeletor.
investigated. Sorry.
Quick side note, because Gav mentioned this on our last episode, I'm happy to report that the He-Man and the Masters of the Universe movie has finished production.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's wrapped production, so no matter what Jared Leto may or may not have done,
I love the fact
got
that
it all
they
in the
brought that
can.
out very quickly.
Oh.
As soon as there was notification, so like, it's wrapped. Tell them it's wrapped. There's nothing we can do about
Yeah,
it. It's
get it
wrapped.
done.
Sorry, guys.
it was the
God.
timing, I think. It was just good timing, but all the actors,
I don't know.
Idris Elba and everybody in it was like, we've wrapped now, it's all done. So it's just all the special effects work over the next year, because it comes out next summer.
Yeah.
We're talking more about that next summer.
But still, that still is a thing though. If he goes down of something, if he does, it might just be a payday for these people. It might not be true. I don't know. But if he does next year, could be an issue for the film.
Yeah,
Everyone's
definitely.
going to be like, Skeletor. Oh, dear.
Yeah. So
Because even Skeletor's not that evil.
Oh. It's going to ruin
Anyway, yes.
Skeletor.
Oh, in the
Finger in the-
morning. Yeah.
Finger in the butt.
Oh, and I was about to say finger in the oily grapefruit in the morning. Why should I be so disgusted by someone fingering some fruit? But I am.
Well, this is Big
Oh,
Ronnie's
it's gross.
first go at sort of trying to seduce Janet, isn't it? So he's got this
Yeah.
open half a grapefruit, which
With
he
the cherry in
basically,
the middle.
yeah, and it basically looks like a vagina with a clitoris, and he is going
He
to
just pours
town on
grease all over it.
this. Have you
Oh.
ever feasted? Have you ever feasted on an oily grapefruit, Janet? I could eat them all day long.
I've
And
never
he just
said that to
starts,
someone.
he just starts kind of linguising this grapefruit and fingering it, and she's sat there
Just-
going,
yeah.
she's like, oh. You can tell she's thinking, this
Hot
guy's
under
got
the
some
cover.
skills. She then goes for a pee. What happens while
This
she's
is
taking a
great.
pee?
So good.
She's sitting there taking a pee in the bathroom, and he knocks on the door, and she says, someone in there. And he's like, yeah, but I've got to brush my teeth, or whatever it is. She's like, well, can't you just wait? He's like, no, I've got to do it now, for whatever reason. And just goes in there. I won't look. Goes in there, starts brushing
And then
teeth.
blatantly looks.
Just stares at her
Also,
pissing.
he's butt naked.
Oh, yeah, he's naked too.
Yeah.
So his big
Dong
long...
is swinging. and
It's
he's
just the
brushing
way
his
he
teeth.
cleans his teeth as well, though, because it's like just bare ass, like grimacing and cleaning his teeth really badly while
winks.
he's like really intently looking at her
And
and then
winks
gives
at
her
her.
that real comedy
does.
wink.
Yeah.
Big dick out, like just standing there blatantly staring at her. It's so weird.
And we get a little bit of tension there between Braden and Janet, because in the garden she's having a cigarette and he comes out and he says, my dad
In his
says
mustard
you let him
yellow
watch you
outfit.
take a piss.
Mustard yellow
Yeah.
outfit from
He's
head
got
to toe.
mustard yellow
Oh,
outfit.
That's a stunner, that is.
Yeah.
What a stunning outfit.
I imagine that's what you'll be getting me for Christmas.
Ooh.
She says to him, he didn't really watch me pee like that. It wasn't like I really invited him in. He just kind of came in. And then Braden says, well, look, are we exclusive? And she says, yeah, we are. And he's like, oh, okay, great. They haven't said they love you yet, but you can tell that's on the cards. But while they're having this lovely exchange, the camera pans up and we just see Big Ronnie, and he's just glaring at them with his teeth gritted, so angry that his son is
God.
happy.
That's incredible.
It's brilliant. Good stuff. nighttime when we get some more sex. Just another little bit of extra sex thrown in there. Sex, you know, just
it's greasy.
Just looks awful. It's greasy. Am I doing it right, Janet? Is this okay? And then someone sneaks into Oinker's house, and it's the Greasy Strangler. No one ever. I've got a note here that says no one ever puts up a fight. They just kind of accept their doom, don't they? They just accept that this greasy thing is coming towards you. Like, oh well, I'm going to die now.
Welcome it even. Like sometimes they're like this one, you know. So
Pleasurable. He gets a bit of asphyxiation wanky ill for it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he really enjoys it.
This one's quite a disgusting one because
once
he's killed him, he removes the little cardboard nose, and then he fingers the nose hole, the real nose hole underneath. Talking of Skeletor, it's like a skull nose, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's all red
with
and mushy.
gunk in.
This reminds me a little bit of Serbian film with the skull fucking at the end.
So he fingers
it did make
the
me
hole.
feel a bit queasy.
Yeah.
Doesn't he then taste what was in the hole as well? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then he goes and has another car wash.
Yeah.
And we cut to another tour. I'm trying to remember what the band was for this one. I can't remember now who this was.
Was it the Earth, the Wind, the Fire?
That's right. You've heard of the Earth, the Wind, and the Fire.
Not Earth, Wind, and Fire. It's the Earth. It's the Wind. It's the Fire. It's the elements.
And while they're on the tour, he says to his son, this is what you were saying just now, sir. He says, you know something? I should spend more time with Janet to make sure that she's the right one for you.
Oh, yeah,
to make
Dad.
sure she's not a skeezer.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
So-
with your big dong. Absolutely.
Yeah. And this is when he says to him, don't be a smoothie with her.
He's like, I'm not a smoothie. And he's like, bullshit artist. And he's like, you're a bullshit artist. And he's like, no, you're a bullshit artist. And he says, but Dad, you're always a smoothie with the ladies. And he's like, I am a bit of a smoothie, aren't I? Okay, you're right. But I won't be a smoothie with Janet. But I will take her out on a date. Like, imagine that. I'm going to take your girlfriend out on a date, son, to make sure that she's all right.
How weird is that?
About as weird as his outfit that he wears.
Do you want to go out on a date with my dad? Sarah?
No.
And again, this is another eviction threaten, isn't it?
Will he forget if he's going to have a starter?
He says, you're not going to live with me anymore, and you'll be homeless if you don't let me take her out on a date. And he says, all right, Dad, I trust you, Dad. So it's nighttime. And Big Ronnie...
he cries though as well, though, doesn't he?
He does cry, yeah.
Hmm.
He's just like, I don't want my dad to be a smoothie.
Yeah.
Don't be a smoothie with her.
The disco location, just the way it's the set is fucking brilliant. I think that looks fucking amazing. It's like a long shot of just like the guys just stand there dancing, not many of them, 3 people, disco ball, and just the way it's set out, it just looks so good.
Before that, when he's getting ready though, and you see his outfit, you don't see it fully.
Oh
do
God,
you? Just
yeah,
kind
of
of
course.
see where he's talking to Brayden as he's getting ready to go out.
My description of this outfit is if
Crotch
Mick
the
Jagger
suit.
wore... It's like a Mick Jagger 70s purple outfit, but instead of normal trousers, he's got chaps, crotchless chaps, not assless, crotchless chaps, and his massive penis is tucked into the right-hand one. And you don't notice it at first, and then you're like, am I looking at pubic hair? And then you realise that is a giant dong tucked, and he's just walking the streets with
I
this
think it's
dick
got like
tucked in.
tights material over that middle bit where his dick is, and then he's got the same up here. It's
So
like the
kind of
material
see-through
that tights are made
Oh,
of.
maybe he's got
from flopping
ties
out.
pulling right up
Yeah.
than the suit. Wow.
No, it's
No?
actually sewed in the suit. It's part of the
Wow.
suit. You can see it around the neck and stuff. It's like actually part of his suit. It's a whole one-piece thing.
Where
but just that,
do you
that crotch bit is bare.
do
and,
you
like,
find
someone's obviously made it. haven't
Do you
they?
find that in a shop or you know? Wow.
And you're right, Gav. The dancing now,
Bob
which
just
to them
back
is
and forward,
seductive.
and
Right.
and she's like this.
I love that old guy behind them. He's like really peering at him.
He's just right behind
bit.
Ronnie, just
and then he just gets right
in
behind
sync
him and
with Ronnie
starts
going bim
dancing.
forwards like he's bumming him.
Good. And he just pays him no mind at all. He just carries on doing it to Janet.
But his moves are winning her over, and then as if that's not enough, he then starts giving her a story for the ages.
Oh my God, Michael Jackson.
Oh my
He
God.
tells her that he knew Michael Jackson back in the day. And back in the day, him and Michael Jackson partied in this disco together, and they got some hot twins, I think they were. I can't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
And they took them up to the office. They did loads of cocaine with them and drank with them. Like Michael Jackson, you can't imagine him doing any of these things.
I wasn't aware
especially
that,
when he says...
When he said it first, I wasn't aware he actually meant Michael Jackson. I just thought of something there. It's like, oh no, as I'm going through it, it's like, oh no, it is actually Michael Jackson he's supposed to be saying, like, you know, the pop star.
And he says, and we finished up by spraying them with hot, honey, milky cum.
Hot, milky cum.
All over them. And the room was covered in it. And then me and Michael laughed about it. We got in the limousine. And then something happened to his hair, didn't it? I can't remember what it was now. He said he had an accident, and they tried to play it off as the Pepsi commercial. But really, it was to do with the orgy that I was having with him. And she's like, this is incredible. You've got some amazing stories. And then he throws in the extra, by the way, Braden craps the bed. Just to let you know that. He then leans in to try and kiss her. She declines. And this is where you get a full shot of him just sat there with his legs open on the bench.
Because she says, I'm in love with your son, she says.
Yeah. And he's not really taking no for an answer, but
I want this. As any person wants a theme tune when they're walking along the street, I want the spotlight to come on me when I'm walking down the street so I can just start freestyle dancing. And you know, Sarah, you know I would. Because I dance to everything. Would. Any song, even if it's shit, I just have to start dancing. I want the spotlight. I want it. Explain.
So what Gav's referring to, listeners, is this basically is the Greasy Stranglers version of the Billie Jean video, where Michael Jackson's walking down the street, and as every step he takes, the floor lights up, but instead there's just a spotlight on him. It's also a bit Gene Kelly Singing in the Rain.
Really strange music, you know. Obviously.
Weird music. He's doing these weird dance moves. He's swinging around lampposts. He's thrusting, and then at the end of the street, the spotlight just goes off, and he looks around and then just carries on walking. And you're like, well, did that happen in his head? Because he's happy, or did that just happen in this weird world they live in? It doesn't matter. It just happened. That's the main thing.
If this was made in the 80s, it was written fueled on cocaine.
No, at this point, I wrote, this is the weirdest scene in the film. At this point, I wrote that.
Okay.
It's going to get weirder.
He does talk to, she talks to his son again. And he actually says that was all made up, and Michael Jackson was actually a male sex worker who recently shot himself.
Yeah, he was a Michael Jackson.
So, you know, so she's basically saying, you know, my dad's telling you shit, you know, he's trying to be a smoothie, but he's not, you know, what the hell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, this next bit is so weird, and again, you don't question it. He gets a phone call to say Oinker's dead. And rather than go to like the morgue to identify the body or anything like that, they just go to his house where his body is still there.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh my God, Oinker's dead. Well, why does he go there? Who's letting him in the house?
They just sit at the kitchen table then, don't they? With Oinker dead in the background.
Eat some
giant what's-it.
Yeah, some poto.
And they've got some Lucky Charms in a bowl as well, I think. But obviously he's very, very upset. And he says, I'm going to investigate the stranglings myself.
So
don't they? Is this where they find some grease on the floor as well?
Yeah.
He takes a little sample of grease.
Well, this is where I would like, generally, well, it's okay for this as well, but generally I like in a film when this happens, because it's like, boom, we've got a new thing, a new aim for the movie. I am now investigating the deaths of these people.
Well, he also says, I'm going to kill him. He says, I'm going to investigate him. I'm going to find who it is. And I'm going to kill him. Because obviously his best friend has been killed now. Not just some tourist that he barely knows. So yeah, he collects the grease off the floor, and Janet is so excited that for no reason at all, she howls like a dog. We don't know why. And he takes he's already suspicious of his dad because he takes the grease home, which is in a cigarette packet, by the way.
Yeah, weird.
And he pops it into the dinner that his dad's eating, and his dad says, where did you get this grease? It's delicious. And he's like, oh, you know, Dad, it's just the same old grease. And he's like, bullshit. This is succulent and delicious and so... And he thinks, okay, so maybe my dad is the Greasy Strangler because he seems to really like this grease that I fed him from a cigarette packet. So he phones Janet and he says, This is a roller coaster of a phone call. I think my dad is the Greasy Strangler. I've got to get a bit more proof before I can find it out, but I fed him the grease and he liked it. Now let's quickly have phone sex. All right then. And then the phone sex is him, first time we've really seen this micro penis, rubbing this micro penis for about 10 seconds before he sort of cry comes himself.
Doesn't he say to imagine I'm tickling your clitoris with a pink feather and I'll imagine you're cradling my sack?
I'm glad you remembered the word on there, Sarah. Yeah, and she makes noises down the phone and that's that. It just gets crazier and crazier. Micro penis masturbation. I never thought I'd have to write down.
Yeah, definitely.
Nub Robbins.
Yeah, Nub Robbins.
Nub Robbins was a person. It was actually a person, wasn't it?
I think, was it Buzz Nubbins or something?
Oh, okay. We changed it to Nub Robbins.
I think it was something like that. But yeah, you just swapped it for Nub Robbins.
And what are your two alter egos when you're on your show sometimes?
Oh, I'm Spooky Quackenbush.
That's right. Gav, have you got one?
You've got one, I'm sure.
Can't remember what yours is now.
Is it Dick Whore?
Dick Whore's enough, isn't it?
I don't know. I can't remember anymore. It's been a while.
Dick Whore and Dick Bone investigate. Jesus. He goes to face his dad, but his dad's not at home, is he?
No.
Because he's at a car wash, having just killed someone. And he says to Big Paul, "Let's go disco."
Well, they say they go disco. What do you reckon? Because the son's there and he goes, "I want to go to disco."
Well, he brings him home. He brings Big Paul home, doesn't he?
And he says, "What do you think, Paul?" And Paul's like, "No way, man." So they don't want the son to come along because he might shit himself, is what they think.
And yeah, they're laughing.
He's still in his purple disco dick out suit.
Yeah.
I've never ever said purple disco dick out suit, but it sounds good. Everybody say purple disco dick out suit.
But it's good for Braden because they go out disco partying now, and Braden has the opportunity to search his dad's room. And he finds very crude, childlike drawings of Janet.
Those pictures are amazing.
Being rogered in all sorts of positions.
Things, yes.
So good. Isn't he on a unicorn or something?
It's kind of like
in one picture, and the unicorn's jizzing on a Janet or something.
It's kind of like Wallace and Gromit if it was actual drawings. It's
so good.
These drawings really do remind me of Napoleon Dynamite's drawings as well.
Yeah. Those are amazing. Those dick pictures.
So he calls Janet, and again, we've got a roller coaster here. He says, "You've got to come over. I found some evidence in my dad's room." And then we cut immediately to him fingering her from behind.
Oh, God.
That's so good. Imagine if I farted right now.
Oh, it's just like, oh.
I just didn't expect the scene to end like that.
Imagine if I farted right now. And it's like, oh.
And it's the squelching sounds that they've got, the Foley for it.
Yep.
So Janet leaves. Little does she know, Ronnie's waiting outside for her, Big Ronnie, and he says, "You look very sexy tonight, Janet." She's like, "I can't talk to you." And he's like, "Come back inside." So he does persuade her to come back in the house with her, and this is where he seduces her.
Yeah.
And we hear some squelching sounds.
Well, he says, "Do you want to come in and do something sensual?"
And the scene starts with as the camera pans down to them on the bed, some squelching sounds. And he's covering her.
Wait! Before it goes down, it takes so long to go down. I'm like, I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. You know, it's like it could be anything we're about to see. If we hear the squelching, what are we going to see?
He's pouring olive oil all over her vagina, and he's going to town on it, chowing down. And
a massive Braden
is next door, and he can hear all these noises coming from his room. He suspects what is possibly happening.
But when he says that, feels good, yeah? For no reason.
I don't know why he says it. And morning comes, and Ronnie and Janet are in their bed, and he flashes his cock. This is where he says, "Look at that."
Close up on his shit weird dick, yeah.
And it says, "Look at that. It looks like a little mouse's head poking out there."
It does, yeah. Looks like a fucking finger mouse.
And later on, he goes up to his son. He says, "Well, I've got something to tell you, son. I'm officially dating Janet now. We sealed the deal last night with a kiss. And this is where we get the bullshit artist times 100. It just goes on and on. They talk dog shit, cat shit, horse shit, you name it, every type of shit.
I think originally this scene actually went on for about another 20 minutes, but it got cut, thankfully. Because, it's funny, but it could have outstayed its welcome if it had gone on for too long.
Yeah, no, I don't know. It's a bit too much myself.
He says, Dad, she was my first love. And he says, well, I fucked her last night. And he's devastated, obviously. Later on, Janet is feeding Big Ronnie. I think she's sitting on his lap.
Yeah, she's sitting on his
knee. In front of Braden, her ex-boyfriend. And they're just sort of like rubbing it in his face, really, at this point.
Yeah. Then sex.
We get another sex scene with
Spider-Man
Janet
of
and Ronnie.
Cumtown.
He's talking about ropes they shoot.
So good.
And this is where they start the chant of, you're a cutie, you're a hootie, tootie, disco cutie. And they start chanting it, and this is where Braden loses it because he can hear them chanting.
But they're naked, though. She's like standing naked, just going back and forth, doing a little disco dance,
such
saying
a weird movement. Such a weird movement.
Bobbing back and forwards.
It's so good.
And Braden comes in, and they just continue singing it and smiling at him. And he's just like, ah!
And she starts doing it with her bum, doesn't she?
Dan, Weeble wobbles don't fall down.
Weebles wobble, but they don't fall down.
You know that reference.
Well, I think at this point she shows her butt and basically insinuates that her dad has done her up the bum as well. And
I think she's doing the hootie tootie disco cutie with her bum cheeks.
She says, "Not your ass, Janet." Oh my God, he cries. He runs outside. He screams. And then miraculously, they're working together again in the next scene because they're doing another tour, my father and son. Even though all this has gone on, and there's just a seething silence between Braden and his dad. Oh my God, it's tense, it's sexual, it's oily.
Then the dad and son are watching TV, so they're still like hanging.
Yeah. He says, well, again, Braden's in the kitchen and Janet walks in the kitchen butt naked and says, I can't believe you're my dad's girlfriend now. And they're just like, well, and he says, I miss you. Do you miss me? And he says, I love you. And now you can see she's confused. She thinks, God, Braden really does love me. Yet his dad's so incredible in bed. I'm so torn between them. Micro penis or giant penis? Which do I choose? And she finds some grease on the bedroom floor. And for some godly unknown reason, she tastes the grease, the pulpy, lumpy grease on the bedroom floor. I don't know what she's hoping that's going to achieve. She's going to recognise it. She's not a dog where she can sniff it out, And poor Big Paul in the car wash now. He's been there. He's starting to suspect too much. And he gets strangled by the Greasy Strangler.
Does.
He saws his head off, dances with it for a bit, and then throws it through a basketball hoop.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then has a wash in the car wash. So he's gone now as well, Big Paul. And now we get to meet Detective Jody.
What is this all
He's
about?
He's my favourite. I love him so much.
The thing is, though,
it's absolutely great.
But you don't
know. Inquiries here.
But I didn't know in the world what it was. Is it the actual actor playing a different role? Because it could be, because we don't know this movie, or is it Big Ronnie pretending to be this person? I wasn't sure. I know it is, but at first, when it's initially there, you don't know because of this movie. It could be anything. So you're like, I'll just go with it. I guess. I don't know.
He's so good. I love him.
So to describe this character, he's got very long fake fingernails. They're like 4 inches each.
Well, I can describe.
He climbs out of a bush. Go on, describe.
I'll describe him perfectly. It's basically the female Gremlin from Gremlins 2.
Crossed with.
It looks like
Nicolas Cage's Daddy Longlegs.
It's so weird.
It's like a mix of those two. And he climbs out of a bush and taps on the door. He's like, "I'm Detective Jody. You called me. I'm here to investigate the Greasy Strangler." And he basically says, "You need to drop the investigation. It's nothing, you don't need to be looking into this anymore," and tells him that's the end of it.
Ray does it though. He keeps saying
before that, yeah.
It keeps saying it just keeps repeating over and over and over.
Before that, he gets down in the grease, doesn't he, and starts wiping his long fingers in it, and then he wipes it on these sunglasses that he's wearing. And just keeps saying Jody needs to grease his glasses. But then there's another weird bit where he goes, Jody needs to wash his face now. And then he looks in the mirror and his reflection takes the glasses off, don't they? Where he's looking at him and he says, Jody needs to leave now. And that's when he sits down at a table and says, keeps going, end all inquiries here.
And it's it's so Twin Peaks. It's like, what the fuck?
And he describes the grease as scrumptious. And he does say to him, so he's admitting to him through this character of Jody, he says, "You may well be the son of the Greasy Strangler, but there's no evidence to stop your inquiry." So again, Braden's like, "Oh my God, even this detective, who I'm so dumb I can't see that it's my own dad." Even this detective is almost confirming it as well. So he says to Janet, "Look, we'll have to expose him on our own. Whoever this Greasy Strangler is, we'll find out and we'll expose him on our own." So Janet and Braden and I are back together. They're in bed. But what's going on under the bed, guys?
Big Ronnie's going on under the bed.
So they've just obviously finished having a bonk, and Big Ronnie crawls out from under the bed. And he says, "Dad, were you under there the whole time?" He goes, "Yeah. And you're evicted. Get out. You're evicted now." And he says, "You can't evict me because we're moving in together." So they taunt him. He comes back in the room fully greased up, and this is the big reveal now. Big Ronnie is indeed the big Greasy Strangler, and he knocks out Braden. He drags Janet off into another room. Braden decides, if you can't beat them, join them. So he steps into the giant vat of grease and goes chasing after his dad.
But they go to the cinema, and his dad's basically kidnapped her and taken her to the cinema. At first, you think he's going to get in there and be the Greasy Strangler because he wants to be the werewolf and attack the other werewolf, like it's his dad.
Yeah, you think
this is like the werewolf.
Fight.
It's like the werewolf story, like the dad and the son. Do you know what I mean? The classic Wolfman.
Or like a superhero that injects himself with the same serum to
defeat that person to save the maiden. Unfortunately, doesn't save the maiden whatsoever. Ends up joining in, pushing him out of the way, and says, "I'm going to strangle," and just strangles her and pops her eyes out.
Yep, and then they eat an eye each.
Well, they both
do,
and they both go to the car wash. They have joined forces.
They've finally got their little thing together.
And we're getting close to the end now.
Sitting at the beach talking about John Travolta.
Yeah.
So they start bonding on the beach. Sarah, you talked about this earlier. First of all, his dad says, "You were a really cute baby. You know, I loved holding you. In fact, John Travolta held you as well. He said you were a cute baby." And he's like, "John Travolta."
But Michael St. Michael's was legit John Travolta's hairdresser back in the day.
Which is
it's
amazing.
True. He was like a hairdresser to the stars back in the 70s and stuff.
And he tells his son that they were going to open up a club called Johnny and Ronnie's Big Disco Dance Pad or something like that. And but it never really worked out, you know. And John got big in Hollywood, and I went my way and he went his way. And then he says, "Janet was never any good anyway, was she, Braden?" Braden's like, "No, she was a sleaze." And he's like, "Yeah, we don't need her. No, we don't need her." And this is that whole dad not wanting his son to leave him thing. And he's completely brainwashed him now. And that, in fact, turned him into a Greasy Strangler as well. Then his dad draws a heart in the sand. And then they both come up with the idea. And Braden says, "Let's kill Ricky Prickles," who is his stepdad.
Cut to.
And you think, okay, that's actually quite a good little thing. And I thought that was going to be the end. But no, because we get this scene that I've had to research and figure out what the fucking end scene of this film is.
Well, we first cut to them chasing Ricky Prickles.
Through the woods, through the forest.
Then after that, we have this scene, which you're talking of.
So they kill Ricky Prickles. He says, "You'll never catch me," but they do catch him and they eat his brains. Then they bury him. And then they have a campfire and they're laughing. And you think, oh, that's wrapped up now. They've finally killed the last person. And then we get this really meta weird scene of them seeing themselves being executed by a firing squad in the woods, and their heads explode and champagne and glitter bursts out of their exploded heads.
Yeah.
And then my last comment is Bigfoot, because they seem to kind of come across something in the woods that sort of growls at them, and they go back to it. And I'm like, are they going to kill Bigfoot next?
At the end, it's odd. It's like their physical bodies have been killed, but the spiritual greasy stranglers of them were still alive, somehow watching their actual bodies be killed. It's just like, what? What an ending. It's such a weird ending.
I think it's probably something along those lines, but yeah, it's very strange.
Very strange. And that's the film.
But yeah, like the rest of the film wasn't strange.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have any other ending, to be honest with you, although the ending doesn't really make any sense. To be honest with you, did the film? I mean, yes, it did. It had a plot. It was just done in a very greasy way. But and like I said earlier, and I'll say it again now, I really enjoyed this. And I wasn't expecting to go into this and enjoy this, but it is a really fun watch. You know, it's one of those films, like, to me anyway, like Napoleon Dynamite or one of those more obscure comedy films that I'll go back to every couple of years and I'll enjoy it for its obscurity and its abstractness. But it's not like you, Sarah, where I watch it every weekend. But I can understand why. And Don summed it up in his email, and you've summed it up, Sarah. I think you're either going to really like this or you're going to really hate it. And I lean on the side of I really like this. I'm not in love with it, but it's a great, fun, strange, bizarre film, and they've done a fantastic job of creating this weird world. You know.
Yeah, definitely. I think it is a whole, like you say, it is a world of its own, isn't it? It's not, you can't relate it to any time or period or country or anything like that. You know, it's so of its own thing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's done really well.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it this time round.
Good.
Happy to know, Sarah. And if you ever, one day in the future, when you're sitting there and you're like, years to come, you know, can we watch Greasy Strangler? I'll say, go on then, you can put it on.
Yay!
First time I was just not in a good place which I watched it. So I do give it a thumbs up, but it's a weird film. You got to know you're going into a weird film.
And you can never be prepared for just how weird it's going to get.
It's an odd one.
It's always a surprise, yeah.
but I actually would recommend this. If you don't think you're going to like it, then you're probably not. And I'd say don't worry about it. But if any of what we've talked about is intrigued you, it's worth checking out. It's only an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And if you like your Napoleon Dynamites and your League of Gentlemen and Mighty Boosh and anything else like
definitely.
that. Yeah. You know, because that character, Detective Jody, reminded me of something out of the Mighty Boosh, you know.
Oh, yeah,
and
for
I
sure.
don't like the Mighty Boosh.
Similar humour.
Yeah, I'm not a massive Mighty Boosh fan, but
it's funny.
But again, like this film, just for some reason, Don summed it up in his email. It just hits right for me. So,
yeah, definitely. I think the effort they put into making it, you know, it shows. Comes through in a lot of ways.
Well,
so it's a big greasy thumbs up from all three of us, Don.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you very much for letting me watch this.
Thank you, Sarah, for joining us on this one.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And we're going to end out the show now and do the outro, aren't we, Dan?
We are indeed. So, yeah. Bye-bye, Sarah.
Bye, Sarah.
Bye.
We'll be back soon for the outro.
And we're back again.
Well, thanks. I feel very dirty
I had a little wash, actually. I had a quick flannel wash between breaks there because I just had to get some of that grease off.
Yeah, I've been LSD'd and danced my ass off, and then I dipped straight headfirst into
vat of
Big Ronnie's vat.
You dunk it straight in.
But Don, thank you so much for that, especially for introducing me to the Greasy Strangler, because, like I said,
well,
I enjoyed it. It was brilliant.
You're Sarah's brand new best friend, so there you go.
But it's time to remove that crown back off your head and pop that away for the next time we have a patron pick. Thank you ever so much, Don, for your email and your support.
Yeah.
But Gav, that was episode 179. Do you want to hear about what's coming up next?
Please.
So next episode is episode 180. And to mark, although it's been very hot already here in the UK, to mark summer really kicking in, we are going back to Camp Crystal Lake. Yep. Continuing our annual reviews of Jason movies, we will be covering Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, and Friday the 13th, Part 8, Jason Takes Manhattan.
Indeed.
Coming out in 1988 and 89 respectively.
Yeah.
So one per year as always with the Jasons. Love that. So that's our next episode. After that, there'll be another franchise going back to, and that's the Chucky franchise. We'll be covering Seed of Chucky, where Chucky gets a little baby boy. Interesting. From 2004.
That fucking doll is so annoying. He's annoying as Franklin in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He really is.
He's not that annoying.
No, it's close.
And we'll be pairing that up with the follow-up, The Curse of Chucky from 2013, which is one of my favourites from the later entries in the franchise. Girl in the wheelchair in the hospital. So that'll be a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
And then after that, there'll be another patron pick. And our newest patron, Sheila, steps up to the gate, and she's picked a couple of doozies. She's picked one of Gav's favourites, starring Mr. Johnny Depp himself.
Yeah.
1999's The Ninth Gate. So that'll be fun. And she's paired it up with a brand new movie for the most part, The Pope's Exorcist from 2023.
Yeah.
Which I watched recently and really enjoyed, and you've seen as well, but we'll revisit that.
Yeah. I love Ninth Gate. It is Polanski, but we shall keep his name out of it. Yeah,
we won't really talk about him too much. And that we'll do our very best for you, Sheila, again in that episode, because for anyone who doesn't know, Sheila is blind or vision impaired, and we're going to really describe the shit out of those two films for her. I mean, we do generally anyway. That's kind of our thing, but she does get a kick out of us doing that.
It won't be that descriptive. It won't be like there's 5 buttons on the paisley jacket. There's a bit of stitching off the shoulder. It won't
Johnny
be
Depp's lip
audio
is
descriptive.
twitching.
No, it won't be closed.
Amber
like
Heard is taking a shit in his bed.
It's a little turd. Could be a small dog.
So that's what's coming up in the next 3 episodes. We've got Camp Crystal Lake double bill, we've got a Chucky double bill, and then we've got our patron pick from Sheila with The Ninth Gate and The Pope's Exorcist.
Yeah.
So
I love
stuff coming up.
I love a bit of Jason. Can't be there. So which Jasons? Sorry, I know you said them.
Part 7 and Part 8.
So 8 obviously Manhattan. 7. What's the crux of 7? What's the standout point for 7 for us?
Carrie, the girl with the powers.
Okay, it's the fake Friday 13th, isn't it?
No, it's not.
It's not. Oh no,
it's
that's
where she
9,
accidentally resurrects him. She tries to resurrect her dad using her psychic powers, but she accidentally resurrects Jason instead. It's brilliant stuff.
Oh, great! I love it.
Carrie versus Jason.
Okay.
It's just great.
Okay.
So before we say goodbye, we'll do our usual bit of housekeeping and our admin. And we'll say thank you, everybody, for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill.
Thanks for getting this far. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, 179 episodes. Pretty decent. Almost 12 years now.
I meant the episode, but yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that as well. Thanks for getting this far. As always, we have been the podcast on Haunted Hill, and we are a proud member of Legion Podcast Network. We're also under the Deadbolt Media umbrella. More on that in a moment. To find out more about Legion, just go to legionpodcast.com. You can find all about us and all of our back episodes, back catalogue, and all the other shows on the network and all of their entire back catalogues as well. I always have to do it. You can go to Facebook and search for the podcast on Haunted Hill and join our network on there. Our friends, our family, our crazy lunatics that we speak to daily on there. It's a brilliant place. Probably the best bit about Facebook for me these days. And Legion also have their own Facebook page as well. Just go to Legion Podcasts.
My kids think Facebook's for old people.
I mean, it kind of is.
They've
now.
said that. I know.
I'm getting Facebook memories come out that are 17 years old now. That's how long I've been on that. I was 30 when I joined Facebook.
Exactly. My kids are literally like, Facebook, no, that's for old people. And I was like, oh, okay.
Wherever you're listening to us now is where you can continue to listen to us. We're on most podcast platforms like Spotify, YouTube, Podnight, Podbean, Apple, and all the other ones. You can always reach out to us and email us. Our email address is thepodcastonhauntedhill@outlook.com. Alternatively, you can Facebook message me. Gav probably won't respond, so message me if you want to ask any questions or just say anything, really, giving us any comments. And our Instagram handle is the Podcast on Haunted Hill Insta, which we generally use to just promote each episode with a little montage, collage, and the link to the episode. As mentioned, we are part of Deadbolt Media, which is our production company, Deadbolt Films. Deadboltfilms.com is the website, and you can go there to find out all about our features that we've made, our short films, things that we're working on like music videos, comic books, this podcast, and that other podcast that you do with the lovely Sarah, who we spoke to just now.
Hi, Strangers Podcast.
Hi, Strangers Podcast. Thank you again, Sarah, for joining us so short notice for this episode.
Yeah, thanks, Sarah. And it's not that I wouldn't respond to people because I'm a bastard. It's just because I'm useless at responding to people.
It's fine. I'm happy to do the most of the responding.
You do the talking, yeah.
You do the walking and I do the talking.
If I meet you in real life, though, I'll probably natter your head off. You'll be like, "Oh, God, get out of here! How can I tell him to go away?" Politely.
And if you meet both of us, we'll give you a big sweaty hug. Only if you consent.
We actually, what we like to do with people, fans of the show, we like to go up to them, stand either side of them, and recite the episode. Hello and welcome to the podcast, and just freak them out.
We did that with Rachel once, didn't we?
We did, and she just went, "Ah!"
Finally, we are on Patreon, which means you can support us financially if you wish to.
Yes.
For as little as £1 or $1 a month, you can become a patron supporter.
It's hugely appreciated.
It is hugely appreciated. The perks you get from that are not only do you get a free T-shirt, and Sheila, I'm so glad you got your T-shirt. Yay. I will respond to your email, but I'm glad you got your T-shirt. And it's very cool that you live in Salem, by the way. I hope you don't mind me mentioning that, but it is very cool. Yeah, you'll get a free T-shirt. You'll get a mention at the end of every episode. You get exclusive access to early episodes if we drop them early, any additional content that we release. Our entire back catalogue is now also on Patreon, and you will get to become a patron. So which means every 3 episodes one of our patrons gets to tell us which 2 films we will be viewing, just like Don did this episode, just like Sheila's doing in 3 episodes time. It's fun. It means we get to review films that we wouldn't normally review. And yeah, you get to tell us and send us an email about why you want us to watch it, what that film means to you, etc., etc. And you heard Don's email in the intro, so you don't have to do that, but the more the merrier. The more you write, the better it is. It gives us a bit of an idea about who you are, and it's a good way for us to connect with our patrons and make them feel like part of the family, make them feel like friends, you know, because you're doing so much for us by supporting us in that way, and we really, really appreciate it.
We do.
So yeah, if you can't find us on Patreon, just drop us an email at the podcast on Haunted Hill at outlook.com or message me again on Facebook Messenger. And I will now thank all of our patrons name by name. So I'll start off with who was the king of the episode, Don Collier. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the Greasy Dante, Matthew Greasy Godley, Greasy Jamie Jenkins, Kevin S. Greasefife, Sarah K. Fife, Sarah K. Fife? Sarah K. Greasy, I meant there. I'm getting my Greasies muddled up here.
Yeah.
Greasy Rachel, RJ McGreasy, and Lex Grease.
Oh.
Thank you ever so much, you wonderful greasy patrons.
Really greasy.
And now because of Don, I'm kind of obsessed with the Greasy Strangler, to be honest with you, the bullshit artist.
Amazing. I actually, you know, When you first said about it last, I was like, oh, God's sake, I don't want to, do you know what I mean? I was having kiddie tantrum over it. And it was fine.
It was good.
Yes. Yeah, totally.
Tutti Frutti, Disco Beauty.
Disco Tutti.
Whatever it is. Well, it's a good night from a massive penis covered in grease.
It's a good night from Big Ronnie, dunking it all the way in.
And it's a good night from Tito, who's been locked in the electrical cupboard and cannot get out while he trips balls on LSD.
Oh my
Poor
God.
little boy.
Yeah,
Oh.
I think they could actually push that scene a lot more of that, made that a lot more hardcore. Anyway, it's a good night from but just all the grease.
And remember, guys, when you're having sex with Janet in your bed, check that Big Ronnie's not underneath there, because he'll probably be under there watching.
And make sure that you're doing it right by asking continuously.
And if you eat sausages, make sure they're really greasy.
And make sure that when you say potato, you say poto.
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 Good night, Poto.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Poto.
Poto.
Thank you for listening to the podcast on Haunted Hill. We will be back again real soon.